Take me on home to the asylum. Never alone in the asylum. Anarchy ruled, it was wild, but through it all you never smiled. Joke's on you, I'm in your head, so look who's laughing now. Remember in Arkham City, I killed your girl, so pretty. That was the night you let me die. But when I looked you in the eye, that's when I knew we'd be together. Look who's laughing now. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I feel you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I am the clown, prince of crime. And we've had a hell of a time. You're part of me, I'm part of you. And now there's nothing left to do. I just can't wait till I'm in control. Who'll be laughing then? I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. Oh yeah, I think I can taste your fear. Now my time is near. I'm in your blood, I'm so alive. I only wish you'd let me drive. It won't be long till I make you kill. Who'll be laughing then? Barbara's dead and I'm laughing. Ah! Jason Todd's dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm even dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. I'm cock-a-doodle-doo. All because of you. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I fill you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. I filled you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you.
I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
Sure is. Sure is time, but do you think he's going to leave her? No, I don't think so. He's addicted to the toxicity, frankly, I think. I think he wants to be unhappy, and that's why. That's what I think. That's what I think. How are you guys? How's everybody doing? It's been a minute. I don't actually know how long it's been. Probably about a week. About a week. Because we streamed on the 22nd. I'm not sure if we streamed on the 23rd. I don't remember. So it's been about a week. How are you guys? Yeah, happy holidays and such. New Year's tidings. Things of the sort. How are you? I've missed you. I've missed you all. It was tempting to like come and ramble about games for a bit, but I was a good boy, stayed focused, didn't do that. You know, enjoyed the family, did a lot of fun family stuff. My brother visited from California. We hung out there, played games. My wife is really good at Civ 6. And I don't know if you guys have played Civ 6, but like, I'm just going to be real. When I play Civ 6, I go like economy based, tech based. Like that's what I tend to do. Sometimes I go domination, just killing everybody, but usually it's like economic or scientific is my approach. She goes like full on to religion, like building out her civilization's religion. And dude, I think it's a little like low-key broken. I don't think it works right because like it's a little ridiculous. It was a little ridiculous. She won on like online speed, so it's like 250 turns for the full game. She won in like 170 turns the other night, and I was like, okay, get out of here. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. So I've got to learn how to play the religion tactic in Civ 6, and then I can be competitive. Then I can be competitive, you know. Religion has proven broken OP in real life too. Yeah, to be fair, a little bit. Yokes, good to see you. 31 months. Boom. That gets 3 booms. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. I've just been getting drunk and shit's lit. Dude, jelly. I've been chilling. It's been good. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like the most exciting thing I did in the last 2 days was I set up college savings and investment accounts for my 2 boys. That was fun. That was cool. So there's that. It's good though. It's good to occasionally just have nothing, you know, just have nothing to do. I think that's really healthy, frankly, like to occasionally fully reset and just chill. Especially because I don't like to chill, typically. Cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. And over the break, I was exposed to a couple of like memories and things that I'd kind of forgotten about. That was kind of fun. I'll show you one. Roberto, thank you for the 8 months. Howdy to you, my friend. Good to see you. Yokes, also thank you for the 5 bits. Hell yeah. Boom. My stream on Twitch is at 50 frames. Twitch is doing the IGN thing. Oh my god. That's hilarious. Is it actually? Yeah, it actually is. 1080p 50. It says that's the source. It's definitely set to 60 for the transcoding. What if I just go to default? Maybe it'll fix it. Or break everything. I don't know. Lucas IGN confirmed. It's confirmed. Confirmed. It's okay. We'll get over it. Yokes, gee whiz, thank you. 5 gifted membership subs. Oh no, they're gonna cancel me. 5 gifted subs over on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. By the way, just a little update, because a couple of people asked about the PS5 Pro giveaway. We have selected winners. I say winners because the first 3 people that we selected ended up like having cheating is maybe not the exact word, but like in the terms, it very specifically said that like your IP address location needed to match your actual location. Otherwise, you're using a VPN, which is how you can enter multiple times and cheat. And then like you entered 5 times and get like higher odds of winning. So the first 3 people that we selected as winners had their location set at one place, but then the shipping address was in a totally different country on the other side of the planet. So it's like, okay, so you like, that's cheating because you used that. But the 4th selected winner, we're waiting to hear back from now, and I am hopeful that they didn't do that. So we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Once we have like the winner and we send it to them, I will ask them to take a picture with it, and we can show it off on stream. But yeah, it's gonna happen. You know, it's gonna happen every time we do one of these giveaways. This is why we check, because there's always going to be people who enter like 500 times and then expect us not to notice when there's like a totally clear paper trail. So anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. But it is in the works. We're just trying to find a real winner instead of people who cheated. You know, call me crazy, cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. Let's see. Yeah, everybody who just got a membership, get your booty over to the Discord. Get over to the Discord because there's all sorts of fun stuff that happens there. One of you guys shared with me, let's see, in our memes channel, we have all sorts of memes. Let's see what we got. What's this? Toad Langson, a virtual Toad choir. Merry Christmas. So like you could see that. Shout out to Obi-Wan for that one. We've got this did make me chuckle. This is pretty good. Every day gets harder to find a video to watch on YouTube while eating. Dude, I've started rewatching them. I will say this is a deep cut. I'm sure some of you have seen it because it was a big video. Do any of you guys follow like Lost Media stuff? Any of you guys remember that? There's a picture. I'm warning you, it's spoopy. It's spoopy. There's a picture that was Lost Media for a long time, but it was eventually found. It was called the Cooper family photo. This one, very spoopy. But there's a phenomenal video by Jeffiot. I'm not sure. This video, if you want an hour of absolutely fantastic content, watch this video. It's fascinating because like they go through the whole story of not just where this came from, but like how it was made and all that, because it passes all Photoshop tests. It passes every sort of forensic image analysis. It's crazy cool. And there's a book. There's a book written by the guy behind it that is also very interesting. And it's the first book I've ever gotten that has the pages are black and the text is white. It's written in dark mode. So shout out to that. That's crazy cool. But yeah, it's very good. So if you're looking for a video to watch while eating food, that's a good one. Very good. Very good video. And the book is very interesting too. So recommend it. Yeah. That's a picture of me being dragged to a family dinner. You can't make me. I swear to God. Swear to God. Oh man, I'm eating while watching the stream, and it just works. It just works. It just works. Some of you guys also shared. Where was the Todd? There was one of the Todd. I saw Todd. This is funny. Jupiter, high on caffeine, sleep deprived, and doing its best to take care of 79 moons. Relatable, dude. What's this? At this point, we can have a supercut of video of Todd diverting all Fallout 5 questions to a promotion of Fallout 76.
Does the show have free reign to introduce new vaults with new numbers?
That is always a conversation, because I'm really dealing with a finite amount of numbers,
Yep.
and I hope to stick to that.
Actually, Todd, numbers are infinite. Sorry. I get what he means.
And so whenever we're introducing a new vault, we're having a lengthy conversation about that, and yeah.
Fair. And I guess my final question would be, obviously, this has been an enormous success. Fallout is now a sort of transmedia property and stuff.
Interestingly, though, I will say, have any of you guys noticed that season 2 of the show has? Yeah, I know it's a finite number of vaults. Yeah, I get it. I was trying to be funny. Trying. But have any of you guys noticed that, like, it hasn't, the Fallout season 2 has not captured the same energy as the first season? The first season, at least I remember there being a flood. So, like, I put out a Fallout New Vegas video, and it did pretty mediocre. Like, and I've seen a lot of other people did the same thing, expecting like a rush of people being interested in New Vegas, and it hasn't really clicked yet. Maybe it's because in the show they haven't like arrived there yet. And so we haven't like fully explored New Vegas. So maybe it will come later, but I've been surprised that season 2 of the show has not made as much of a splash as season 1 did, at least as far as I remember it. I think it has so far. It's just a slower start. Yeah, possibly. I'm not hating the new season. I still think, like, I'm waiting for a lot of plot holes to be resolved, because I feel like there's a ton of plot holes all over the place and things that just don't make any damn sense. But I'm hoping that they resolve them and they like make sense later. I don't know if I'm alone in that. Anyway, continuing.
Has that like moved up the timeline for the already announced next Fallout game? Are you looking at this going, we need to capitalize on this and move things forward, or are you sort of sticking to the schedule?
I mean, we thought it would be popular, so we've had our schedule. I mean, Fallout, they're thinking.
Did they though? Because like they didn't have anything lined up. They had like a free, they had a pack of like micro DLC for Fallout 76, and then they broke Fallout 4 a year after, or like 6 months after or something after the show. So I'm not actually sure if they, as like the company on the whole, thought that the show would be as big as it ended up being.
Thing is, Fallout's the franchise we do the most in. And so
I'm sorry, this drives me crazy. Okay, I'm sorry, Todd. I'm sorry. This drives me crazy though, because he says this all the time. He's like, Fallout is the franchise we do the most work in. And what he means by that is that Fallout 76 has a whole team dedicated to it. And therefore, by head count, there's a ton of people, maybe even more than Elder Scrolls, working on the franchise, especially if you count the show and all the people that work into that. It's like, when people are asking about BGS, they're asking about the games. And I'm sorry, upkeep on a live service MMO thing, looter shooter, does not feel like you're putting the most effort into that compared to everything else. You know, it's like technically on paper, okay. But this is the age-old story with Todd, is that a lot of what he says is not lies. It's technically true on paper. Technically. And that carries a lot of heavy lifting, because there's often a distinction between what's technically true and what is like an accurate representation of the experience. Like if he says that Fallout 76 features all new lighting and landscape technology, it's technically true. Does that mean it's anywhere near the standard for the industry? No, that's a different standard. But what he's saying is technically true. You see that mountain in the distance? You can go there. Technically true, as part of like a quest line that takes you up a dedicated set of stairs. Like, yes, technically you can get up there. But I think what you were trying to communicate, you know, is same thing. Like he said, Fallout 3 will have 200 different endings. It's like, I guess if you count, did this NPC die or live? Okay, that's a different ending, slightly tweaked. You know, like technically, I guess, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Are we doing more than we were before? Yes. Fallout 76 has become so popular, so we have a full team on that, and the Burning Springs update that just came out. And so it's interesting, really our first live game that we've had now, celebrating its 7th anniversary. Pretty incredible, particularly how it started, where we are. And so that's new for us to balance, you know, a full team on Fallout 76 while we're doing other Fallout things.
Todd's the greatest snake oil salesman. I'm not sure if I'd call him a snake oil salesman. At times, sure. Like with Fallout 76, he knew that was broken and didn't care. That's harder to excuse. You know, it's really hard to hand wave away when you know something is a broken pile of steaming dog crap and you still sell it to your fans at full price. You know, that's when I stop feeling bad. But like with a lot of the other stuff, like if he overhypes a Fallout 4 or something, or a Starfield, I don't see that as snake oil. Like technically everything he said about Starfield was correct and true. It was just kind of mediocre, you know, like the execution wasn't there. So I would say at times he's been a snake oil salesman. I would argue that Peter Molyneux much better fits the definition, because like, bro, if you don't know what Peter Molyneux, some of the stuff he was saying and doing, and that he's done for like literal decades, bro, he makes Todd look like the Pope. Because he'll just casually say stuff that you're like, what? It's just not even close to accurate. Like, not even close. I'm sure his whole team's like, what the hell are you saying? Like he was saying in the original Fable. Yeah, so if you have like an acorn in your inventory and you drop it on the ground, you can come back years later in game and the tree will have grown and the community could have centered and come together around this tree, and maybe it's become a pillar of their community and like a meeting place. And it's like, what are you talking about? No, like none of that's true. None of it. So yeah, I would say the ultimate snake oil salesman, probably Peter. Todd's dabbled, certainly, but yeah, I would say Peter probably fits the definition better.
So that's been a new balancing act for us. Yeah.
Fair. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great questions. Thank you. Love the sweater. Yeah, man.
Cheers.
Great to see you.
There you go. I will say, Todd knows how to pivot. Todd knows how to pivot. It's his ultimate strength, though, is that Todd is, and I mean, I don't even know if this is a hot take, but I've said it plenty of times before. We meme on Todd. We light candles. We have cardboard cutouts of Todd. We pray to him, and he is forever and ever in our hearts. And you know, he blesses us with detail and makes all of it just work. That's all goes without saying. But he is a very capable and competent game designer, and he has designed and directed some of the biggest games in history. And there actually is like a trackable, or I think you can correlate his involvement specifically. Let me see. It was one of the replies. I replied to Kiwi about it. Where did it go? It was in here somewhere. Yeah, here. Like, Kiwi pointed this out, which I thought was accurate. Since Fallout 4, Todd has become less and less involved in game development decisions, primarily because he's just too darn busy with other things eating up his time. And to be clear, Reese has interviewed like a dozen or more people that worked at BGS. And so people who worked with Todd on like a daily basis. So like he knows what he's talking about. For example, Will Shen, the lead quest designer on Starfield, barely interacted with Todd throughout its entire development. That should give you an idea of how hands-off Todd is now. The common thing I've heard over the years was Todd was the glue that kept Bethesda on track and together because he was so busy. That's no longer the case. And I'd imagine Emil is the guy trying to fill his shoes. But unfortunately, Todd is a one-of-a-kind guy and pretty much irreplaceable. I would say pretty much irreplaceable, especially by Emil. So I think Todd, you know, we meme on him. But like the correlation's pretty clear. As his involvement has dropped, Todd's involvement has dropped. The quality of the games, I would say, also has dropped, in my opinion. Now, to be fair, the revenue has been going up because he's taking broader, big picture decisions. So he's doing stuff like the show. He's doing stuff like Fallout 76. He's doing stuff like the mobile games. So he's making way more money, and the company's way bigger and more successful financially than it ever has been. But I would say that the correlation's pretty clear. As he's become less involved, the quality of the product has dropped. So we'll see if that changes with Elder Scrolls 6. I don't know if he's going to be more involved with that. I would be skeptical of that, mainly just because like the show is only getting bigger, taking more time. Indiana Jones was a success, and he was executive producer on that, so he was involved in a lot of the big picture decisions there. So I'd be surprised if he all of a sudden like hunkered down and focused up on it, you know. I'm not sure. Brady, thank you for the 5. Yo, Luke, sorry to interrupt, but where do you get your 3/4 zip shirts? I live in Loveland and need to know. Shout out Loveland. Shout out. Love Loveland. Lived in Loveland for a little bit, actually, after college. Little apartment complex called Bristle Point. We lived up there. It was like at the top of a hill on the west side of town. Very beautiful place. We had a spot with a little balcony overlooking the mountains. It was really cool. But anyway, Loveland, love Loveland. Where I get my quarter zip things, we usually, like, I got, I think all of them from Shields. I think that's where most of them came from. A couple were gifts, you know, throughout the years, but yeah. That's the place. Loveland is a place to live. It sure is. Oh yeah, I know Bristle Point. I live downtown. Oh hell yeah. I love one of Nikki and I's favorite restaurants is Door 222. Door 222 is goated. Really good. Really good. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Ubisoft stuff here in just a second because I have been trying to dig up what I would consider to be like reliable information about all of that, and I've struggled to find anything because it seems like there's a lot of people taking the leak that did happen and then injecting nonsense and then presenting that as though it's real and being like, no, so the rainbow thing happened, therefore this other stuff is real too. And so there's a lot of like either exaggeration or just straight up misinfo with it. Like I've seen stuff floating around on X, for example, like fairly large accounts sharing stuff that is totally unconfirmed, like alleged release roadmaps and dev roadmaps and stuff, which has no source, which nobody can confirm. It's just people saying stuff. And that's not what we call a reliable source. You know, the hack did happen. There was a massive hack that was a little funny. Just a little funny. But it's not clear at this point if they actually got like, source code going back to the 90s. That's not, as far as I've been able to find, it's not been confirmed by any reputable source. It's people claiming that it's out there somewhere. But until like either Ubisoft or the hackers confirm and show that they have it, it may just have been pretty much relegated to Rainbow Six exploits and stuff, but we'll see. Yeah. Sounds like 4 hacking teams attacked at the same time. Yeah, that's my understanding. It was a big coordinated effort with a known exploit and big oopsie, but no denying either. The thing with a lot of leaks is that the companies will not, or hacks rather, the company will not confirm anything or say anything, like partially for legal reasons, but also because they're trying to track who the leakers and hackers are based on what information is getting out.
Donated $20 through Super Chat. Hey man, hope you're having a good day.
You
How
too.
do you feel about the Wolverine game? Do you think it will be good?
First of all, thank you for the 20. That's ridiculously generous. I guess I can touch on that real quick. Let's see. Wolverine. So, do I shout out Logan for the $20 super chat. Hey man, I hope you're having a good day. How do you feel about the Wolverine game? Do you think it'll be good? I think what we've seen looks baller. Okay, this looks cool. Insomniac has never struggled with production value, certainly. But I'm gonna be real. I've gone back and looked at some of those clips from Spider-Man 2, their most recent game, and dude, the writing in that game is unbelievable. It's insane. There's been clips going around social media as well, of different like YouTubers analyzing the writing and stuff. White Knight did a big video on it. Was it Aqua? That boy Aqua, did he do one that we looked at? It might have been him. There's a number of YouTubers who've done really good videos breaking down the writing and the quality, and there's different descriptions of it, but it fits in a trend we've seen with games that have terrible writing. I'll use a couple turns of phrase, and you can tell me if it reminds you of any particular games. Writing where it feels like HR is in the room. Everybody is too like polite to each other. Nobody wants to say anything that could potentially be misconstrued as hurtful. So everybody, even in friend groups, talks super polite and kind to each other. There are multiple occasions where characters are pushed down narratively in order to lift up other players or other characters, even if it doesn't make sense within the story. The famous example is like the example of Peter getting slammed to the ground by the refrigerator when he's literally Spider-Man picking up entire buildings and you know, oil tankers and stuff, and he's fine doing that, but God forbid there's a refrigerator. Also that, you know, MJ can have a moment. And so there's all sorts of things like that when you stack it up, you start to see patterns that are all too common in modern, I call it like Marvel-esque writing. This like hyper sarcastic, kind of hoity-toity, snotty vibe. You know what I mean? Like, I think what it is it's an after effect or a ripple effect of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and then also Ant-Man. But not every character is Ant-Man. Not every character is Star-Lord. And so when you have every character talking like that, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Now, I will say that I think Wolverine tonally has to be quite different than like Miles Morales. You know, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I think it needs to be approached differently. And for one, I'm glad they're doing the heavy gore, because I don't think there's a way to do Wolverine without heavy gore. I think you have to do that. So they at least checked off that box. But this also allegedly is going to be a much more linear game than Spider-Man has been, which is of course open world, and that may suit their capabilities way better. You know, having tighter level design, bigger set pieces and stuff, that may end up actually working better for them. So it may not be a problem after all. But for me, the main concern is the writing. That's a big worry for me, because that's something that even if the rest of the game is phenomenal, if the writing is super hella cringe, it's just kind of hard to get immersed and get into it. Now, this trailer is giving me no worrying signs, to be clear. This is specifically looking at their last game and then inferring from that similar people or even the same people will be working on this. But what we've actually seen looks really, really good. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. And I think that this fits their talent set very, very well. But I'm just worried about the writing, because I really do believe, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I really believe if Spider-Man 2 had launched a year later, it would have been crucified for some of those conversations, some of the writing. It kind of just barely missed that wave. You remember in like the sort of 2023 going into 24 or 25 era, there were a bunch of games that had god awful writing. Whether you look at like I think Saints Row reboot was 22, but like games like that, Forspoken was of course one, Redfall was one, and they were just all these games that started releasing that had terrible writing that held down the rest of the experience. And I think they just barely missed it. I really think if it had come out a year or two later, it would have been received much differently, because some of those clips would have started to go viral, and you know, I don't think it would have gone well. But anyway, so overall optimistic. I'm worried about the writing because the writing in Spider-Man 2 was so god awful, but time will tell. What they've shown looks good. We shall see. Avowed, I didn't think Avowed had, I mean, Avowed was like campy fantasy writing. I didn't think Avowed was bad. But as for Veilguard, yeah, Veilguard. Friendship simulator. I know the world is ending, but we need to work on our friendships and come together. Oh no, the dragon ate my baby. Let's drink coffee and talk about our feelings. It's like, shut up. Stop. Can we not? Dude, I will say though, I found this out recently. There is an undercurrent of people who unironically like Veilguard and like keep it a secret. I found out that a member of our friend group loves Veilguard and played it through like 4 times or something. But she has to like keep it a secret and not admit to it because she's worried that people will like make fun of her for it, which is kind of funny. For one, that it's like there's an underground community of people who like Veilguard, but they can't say it for fear of retribution. You know, but it's like, yeah, gamers are passionate about their dislike for things like that. You know, they're passionate. Let's see. Kyle with a 2 asks, is this stream sponsored by John HDMI? Yeah, you guys saw that? Our last video was sponsored by HDMI, actual HDMI, like the standard that all those cables use. Yeah, we landed HDMI as a sponsor. Somebody in the comments was like, this is giving off the same energy as getting sponsored by water. I was like, built different, I guess. Built different. Let's see. Oh, Anna, if you're having trouble joining the Discord, this is true whether you're on YouTube or Twitch. If you're having trouble connecting your account, what some people say is that when they get a membership or a Twitch sub, they try to connect their account to their Discord account, and sometimes it doesn't automatically invite them to the new Discord server. I'd say 85% of the time you connect the accounts through Discord. You go to Discord settings and then connections, connect the accounts. It'll just work. But if it doesn't work for you for some reason, just email me at my company contact, luke@28thAv.com, and provide screenshots proving you're a member, and I can brute force you in. Me or a member of my team. Okay? Okay? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. We got that. Okay. Real quick, just mention this before we get into the main stories and things for today. Did you guys see that the first Expedition 33 like game is being made by China? Billy had this video posted to it. This is kind of one of their video platform services in China, but this is a game from China called it's a remake of Legend of Sword and Fairy 4. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. But this video, Up Software. Okay.
天河，天玄星河。
Does it?
和你下山，真的能知道我爹和我娘过去的事吗？
Okay.
太好了，我就知道剑仙的传说果然是真的。
Wait till you see the
我觉
combat.
得
I'm gonna scan the screen and see if I can translate this stuff.
人要活下去，妖也是一样。
妖本身即是恶，难道它会存有善念？
Uh-oh. Okay, real quick. I tried to translate it. And it's just like literally, I'm holding up like a boomer. It's just like random text. See? Mengli. Like New Loyan's Thousand Fang, Bug Sword was preserved. Ziying. Damn it, she's a turtle girl. Okay, so maybe these are comments? Maybe this is all like comments on the live stream reveal. Is that what this is? They're all totally random. It's confusing, but anyway. Fast forwarding, this is what it looks like. Look familiar? There it is. So there's going to be a lot more of these. What I find totally insane is that Expedition 33 launched less than a year ago. And they've already pumped this out. You could say they probably started work on it before then. I'm sure to some extent they did, but nobody expected Expedition 33 to be the massive, massive success that it was. You remember when it launched, they didn't have enough copies, like physical copies in stores for people. So they sold out. The game sold out in like all of Europe. It's insane. Like that's the level of success that they achieved versus what they expected, which I'm sure was like a modest release. It's the reason they went on Game Pass after all. So most likely they pumped this thing out in like 9 months. Like 9 months. Like it's crazy. Crazy. But it's again, the moment that these Chinese studios and stuff that have like 5,000 people being paid $3 like a day, the moment that they start to pump out games that are designed to compete with Western market games, that's the day things are going to get tricky, because they are very capable. They have a lot of talent. They just historically only make like mobile and like gacha game slop, in my opinion. But they're starting to experiment with pushing into Western markets and trying to get those big $70 price tags. And I think in the next 5 years, that's going to start to happen a lot. So buckle up, buckaroo. Shout out Dream's Longest Day for finding that clip and seeing it through Bilibili. But absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So buckle up. There's going to be a lot more of those coming for sure. For sure. Let's see. Where Winds Meet is trying to copy MiHoYo, but that market is already oversaturated by Kuro, Wuthering Waves, and MiHoYo, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero. Well, they're trying to break into it. But I think the interesting thing about Where Winds Meet is that they are trying, in large part, I think they're trying to break into that like Ubisoft Assassin's Creed crowd, which is not a bad idea. Because they can pump out a Where Winds Meet that's free to play, appeals to the same basic type of player. It's an adventure game with light RPG or even heavy RPG mechanics. And it's treated like a live service game, so it gets regular updates and new content drops, which is what a lot of the people who play those modern Assassin's Creed games are looking for. And so they're kind of killing two birds with one stone. I think it may actually be a really good idea for them to specifically target like the Assassin's Creed crowd, Especially because now it looks like we're not gonna have another big open world RPG style Assassin's Creed probably for like 3 or 4 years. It's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while. Black screen, horse sounds, Bethesda Game Studios. Hey, you're finally awake. Welcome to Fallout 76. The game we're putting the most effort into. Speaking of effort, I just wanted to show you this. I don't know what else you're gonna do with it. I just thought it was interesting. Specializer, I'm not sure. Is a YouTube channel, does a lot of like modding and exploring of game code and stuff, but he's been digging through The Last of Us Part 2 and found an old system that was cut from the game, but it has animations for peeking. So you can mod the game and re-enable it, but apparently at one point it had a whole system for peeking around corners and stuff like that they eventually cut, which I thought was cool. There's all sorts of stuff like this. Also modded in an alternative ending for The Last of Us Part 2. Honestly, I kind of wish they would have done this. Like, allowed players to choose. I would have loved to see the stats, like how many players chose to kill Abby versus let her live. I don't think it would have been that close. I think it would have been pretty significant. Let's see. Oh my God, Slasher Veils, gee whiz, 10 subs over on Twitch. Golly, welcome everybody. Iskeetery, also thank you for that. That's very, very generous. Slasher, my goodness, welcome. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, connect your accounts just like Loxy just triggered Nightbot to do. Get in there and join us. Other stuff he's done just while that's playing out, added a mod to add a dog companion permanently to the game, so you can command it to attack any enemy by aiming and pressing triangle. That's pretty cool. Other stuff he discovered, let's see, hold up feature. There was a feature in the game at one point where you could hold up enemies, rob them of supplies, order them to drop a weapon, and after a while they would respond and try to escape and stuff. But they had this as a feature at one point that was cut. That's kind of cool. Okay, what's he gonna do? Oh God, I'm stressed. Oh. Oops. But that's kind of cool, dude. There's all sorts of stuff like this, like some captions I found in the script. So the script code, they actually have references to reach for the skies, don't make a sound, hands where I can see them, got you dead to rights, don't do anything stupid, hey a-hole. All these little bitty things written into the game that were just eventually cut. So it makes you really wonder what like the game would have been like if everything they wanted to do was still there, you know. Very interesting, but I thought that was interesting, so I figured I'd share it with you. Shout out to Specializer for that. Really interesting, really cool. Again, thank you, by the way, Slasher. That was incredibly generous, the 10 gifted subs. That's ridiculous. Pogs, thank you, you're phenomenal. Welcome everybody who got it. That's fantastic. Let's see. China and copying other people's homework. Name a more iconic duo. Says Caleb with 18 months. Thank you for 18 months. And yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's surprised. I'm surprised at how quickly they pumped it out. I was still expecting like a year would be needed, but they pumped that out in 9 months. Anyway. So, okay. Let's touch on this real quick. Let's do this. News Emma. So at this point, I think everybody has heard about the Ubisoft leak slash hack, more of a hack that happened over the past few days. Long story short, people started noticing all sorts of bizarre stuff within Rainbow Six specifically, where they were getting gifted ridiculous amounts of in-game currency. They were getting stuff added to their account that they didn't buy or purchase, like cosmetics and stuff. Dev skins and stuff were getting added. They also noticed that they were getting like level ups, so their level in game was going to like level 21,000 as opposed to level like 500, which is what they were before. All sorts of insane stuff like that. Okay. And you know, they acknowledged it. They said, we're aware of an incident currently affecting Rainbow Six Siege. Our teams are working on a resolution. We will share further updates once available. But over the course of the next few hours and day, really, it became very, very clear that there were some insane things happening and that this was quite significant. So you can see, as copied here, they were sending all sorts of messages within the game, like chat system, so you could actually see all of this playing out. We stopping this for now. Have a nice night. Everyone at Ubisoft has been banned due to toxic behavior. So they were sending messages to players through the like ban message system, which is insane, but that's a thing they were doing. You can see they were gifting away like all of these very, very high level skins and weapons and everything. What else are they hiding from us? We're all banned by TOS breach. Yves Guillemot was in the Epstein files, has been banned due to toxic behavior. Was he? The fact that I have to ask that is really sad, but was he? I don't actually know. Whenever you're like, I realize having to ask, was he in the Epstein files? That's not a great, you know, if it's a possibility, then that's just getting sad. But anyway, so they did all of this. They pulled all of this info, and over the course of the last couple of days, more information has been coming out over what seems to have happened and what likely is the outcome of it. So basically, let me pull up my notes here. My notes, because I'm not smart enough for this. Technical confirmation. Security researchers have confirmed the Mongo Bleed vulnerability was used to access internal systems for the game. While hackers claimed to have breached the repositories containing decades of source code, those have not been followed through with verified public data dumps or anything of the like, nor have any reputable journalists come out and said that was discovered. So basically, they got into the back end of the game, were able to control all of this stuff and send it out. Ubisoft has since rolled back the game to the previous point. They've not banned anybody for using the currency that they were given through the hacks. So they've just rolled everything back, undone all of the purchases that happened pretty much after this occurred, and just rolled it back and have apparently locked it down and recovered at least some semblance of control. So what was interesting though is that pretty much the moment this happened, there were also claims going around social media that these same hackers, it's alleged at this point to have been 4 different groups. Some outlets and some like people are saying that they worked together. Others are saying they worked totally independently. Who knows? But there were at least multiple groups involved to some degree in this whole hack. But one of the things that's been spread around is that they got source code going back to the 90s. That is a big claim. And that is a claim which, as of this moment, I've not been able to find any verification for. I haven't. Okay. So we've seen people going around being like, oh, this is bigger than the Rockstar dump. This is bigger than the Insomniac dump. At this point, I don't see that. It's possible, but there's no reason to believe that. Right now, it's just claims, right? So, if in an hour they release source code, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, they did get source code. But as of this moment, it's not been confirmed that they do have source code. It's just people on social media, notably not even the hackers. It's different people just claiming that the hackers have source code. It's possible. I don't currently think there's any reason to believe it, because it is just claims at this point. As for like actual confirmed information, it seems like this was relatively tightly linked to Rainbow, and not necessarily like the broader company. Tom Henderson, who has a ton of sources within Ubisoft and does really good reporting, he came out and posted this article. Ubisoft hack is reportedly blown way out of proportion, says sources. A recent slew of claims about a series of hacks and breaches at Ubisoft have been blown way out of proportion, according to people familiar with the events that have unfolded over the past couple of days. And anybody, I know what's going to happen. People are going to be like, oh, he's just shilling for Ubisoft. Dude, Tom Henderson, I have it on good authority that Ubisoft, not fans of Tom. Not fans of Tom. I think at one point they probably were even investigating like potential lawsuits, because he's the guy that was leaking most of the information about AC Shadows, about AC Hexe, about the Black Flag remake. Like, he's the guy that's been leaking all of their stuff. So I don't think they like him, and I'm not sure he likes them. So I don't think he's just covering for them. It seems like his sources, at least within the company, are telling him that it's been blown a bit out of proportion. Various rumors and claims of Ubisoft data breach began after the company shut down Rainbow Six servers, following a hacker, or series of hackers, who gifted players a combined 339 trillion in in-game currency. According to sources familiar with the breach, Ubisoft intends to perform a rollback to undo this change. Since this happened, they apparently finished it overnight, like early this morning. Multiple breaches at Ubisoft. However, Rainbow Six breach wasn't the only hack that Ubisoft suffered. According to other groups of hackers, and has subsequently been circulating online, Ubisoft suffered a massive breach with some 900 gigabytes of data compromised. Allegedly, the data included source code, internal tools, and development materials of Ubisoft's upcoming and previous games. It now seems that these claims were in fact untrue. The group with such claims haven't been able to provide any evidence of the alleged breach. I can't read today. And this is something like also the 900 gigabyte claim of stolen data that started last year. So there was another breach separate where they claimed to get 900 gigs. So this seems to be a conflation of multiple things. My guess, honestly, this is really sad and stupid, but my guess is what happened is that like people went onto Grok and were like, hey, AI overlord, is this hack real? What all did they get? And Grok did what it does. It searched across X, found tweets and links for all sorts of stuff without any sort of waiting for whether somebody's credible. And then it just pulled all that info into a bullet pointed list and said, this is what happened. And then people took that and ran with it, even though it's a mix of like 5 different news stories from 2 years. And, you know, I don't think it's accurate. It's possible. But again, if people on the internet are just claiming stuff, that doesn't mean that it's true. And it's like that old meme that always went around, you know, where it was like, you know, always trust everything you read on the internet. Abraham Lincoln. Like, that's literally the same energy as all this. People will be like, well, I saw on X that they actually leaked the entirety of AC Hexe, and so we're actually going to be able to play it probably later today. And it's like, you're dumber than a dummy. It's not how that works. Sources within Ubisoft have told Insider Gaming that the company's security team have been made aware of some breaches earlier this year following leaks surrounding projects such as Scout and the since canceled Far Cry game codenamed Talisker, which also leaked. You know who was involved with some of those leaks? This guy. So again, anybody who's being like, they're trying to play cover. It's like, bro, I don't think so. Another group that claimed to have breached user information has since backtracked, saying that it was false. I'm sure because they were getting threatened with who knows how much, you know, crap from their legal teams. But according to sources familiar with some of the groups who alleged such breaches, they say that the acts were, quote, blown way out of proportion, end quote, and some individuals, quote unquote, just wanted clout from the hack that made headlines. Insider Gaming has reached out to Ubisoft for comment, but have not received an updated response or anything, which is pretty standard when companies experience like massive data breaches or hacks and things. They tend to go on lockdown, and part of it is just because they have, I mean, there's no real point. But the other reason is that if they know that X, Y, and Z is factually true, that they got this much data from this server, they did this, and like they know those things, if they don't tell anybody that, but then they look online and they see that this one hacker group is claiming to have those exact things, they now know, okay, they know what's actually going on. This is the real hacker group. And then they can do what they need to do over there. But if they share it publicly, everybody knows everything. And then there's no reason to go either which way. So my understanding of this is that it was a massive breach within Rainbow Six, but people claiming that they like got full release calendars, that they got source code going back to the 90s, that they got all that on the level of like the Rockstar hack or the Insomniac hack. My understanding at this point is that that's not true, or there's no reason to believe that. It could end up being the case that they do another hack and get that info, or that they did hack it, got that info, and just have chosen to provide no evidence whatsoever of it, and that there doesn't seem to be any corroboration of it. But even people within Ubisoft who are talking to Tom Henderson, they're saying it's not quite on that level. Not quite on that level. So we'll follow it, but it seems like kind of a meme-worthy leak, a little funny at times even, a little funny at times. But I don't think that it's quite on the scale that some people on Twitter were trying to make it out to be, you know. Sorry. But doesn't seem that massive. It was massive within Rainbow. As for impact to everything else, I don't personally see that it's like that widespread or sweeping, you know. Did I see the 007 delay? I did. I had a tweet bookmarked for it. But yes, quick little thing. I guess I should mention that. Hold on. Yes. Okay. Let's touch on that real quick. I'm just going to give Jacob and Trevor like endless stuff to do. Okay. So one of the most anticipated and biggest games for early next year, of course, is 007. 007, I think, showed pretty well. The trailers did well, and a lot of people thought it looked solid in a lot of ways, pretty much melding Hitman with Uncharted, which I think is a great combination. And IOI, they really know what they're doing when it comes to like player agency and complex interactions of systems. If you've never played Hitman, trust me, trust and believe, it's pretty baller. Like, they know what they're doing. Okay, they know what they're doing. However, there was one major caveat to all of this, a huge albatross around their neck, which was the performance of the demo. They showed a number of things, and some of it was less of a big deal than others. Like here, for example, there's this scene where they climb on top of the plane. And to be clear, this is using their Glacier engine, so it's their own tech. It's not like this is just another Unreal Engine game. But there were all sorts of weird little artifacting things. So you can see this like shadow weirdly trails behind them arbitrarily, just in a big box. Like what is that? I don't know. Is that a big deal? Not really. Like, does that make the game bad? No. But it'd be better if it didn't have it, you know? It also is using a lot of upscalers apparently to hit frame rate targets, so it just didn't look that good at times. Like, it looked really blurry and grainy because they were doing so much upscaling to hit targets. But the biggest problem was once the physics sim kicked in up here, and you see the frame rate just takes a nosedive. It's probably in like the low teens in that shot right there, which is really stretching the level of like playability, I would say personally. And so I thought it looked really good, but as I've said since the reveal initially happened, I think that they just, if they can polish it up and get it running well, this could be, you know, a big success for them. This could do really, really well, but you got to polish it up because this is making people think of Uncharted, which is a fantastic comparison. You want your game for people to see it and go, looks like Uncharted in a good way. That's what you want. That's good. But with that also comes in expectation of polish and like certain standards that Naughty Dog has been able to achieve, that they work very hard to achieve, and they crunch like hell to achieve it. But that's what people start to expect, is that level of polish. And it just didn't quite seem like this was on that level yet. Very ambitious, crazy set pieces and all sorts of things happening. But they definitely needed to polish it up. Well, over the course of the holiday break, we got an update, which I did not actually expect for them to do. I was kind of braced for them to just brute force it because it was supposed to launch in March. But they posted this. They posted this by Hakan, who I met when I was out in Copenhagen. Very nice guy. He's the CEO of the company and game director, I think, also. An OG, going all the way back to like Freedom Fighters and stuff. It's pretty baller. But he came out and said, today we're sharing an update on 007 First Light as we've decided to move the game's release window by 2 months to the 27th of May, 2026. 007 First Light is our most ambitious project to date, and the team has been fully focused on delivering an unforgettable James Bond experience, bringing together breathtaking action, globe-trotting spycraft, gadgets, car chases, and more. As an independent developer and publisher, this decision allows us to ensure the experience meets the level of quality you players deserve on day one. The game is progressing well and is fully playable from beginning to end, so these additional 2 months will allow us to further polish and refine the experience, ensuring we deliver the strongest possible version at launch. We're confident this sets 007 First Light up for long-term success, and we sincerely appreciate the patience and continued support we've received ever since we revealed the game. We look forward to sharing more updates regarding 007 First Light in early 2026. Thank you again for your support. IO Interactive, Hakan Abruk. And I think this is unquestionably the right decision. 1000%. This automatically, like, I read this and I was like, okay, already like my expectations are going up. I'm much more confident in this now, seeing that they're taking the time. I was worried they were just going to brute force it through, but this is why it's important to communicate. Like I've told you guys before, people at these studios, they listen. They read the comments. They're involved on social media. They see what you're saying. So if you're saying, I think it needs more polish, I think it needs more this, I think it needs more that, they hear that and they can see it and respond to it, and they might take it and like log it away, and maybe it just becomes part of a broader collection of information that they'll look at later. But like it matters. It can have an actual impact. And so I think it's just it's really important to communicate clearly and to make your voices heard, because it can have an impact, as we're seeing here, where they're actually listening to the feedback, people saying it's not ready. Like you gotta take some time. Maybe in a Hitman game where it's more about puzzles and like you can slowly walk over here, pull this lever, and if the frame rate's a little low or is struggling to maintain, it's not that big of a deal. But in a game like this with more action, you need it polished, which I think is good to see. They watch videos of people's reactions. They did, and yours truly was actually in one of those videos. Was it this one? Did they post it to Twitter? No. I will say people were giving Lenny Kravitz a hard time. I don't know. I think he's gonna be good. I'd like his casting in that. What was it? 007. Let's see, maybe it's just this 007 First Light. Oh, maybe it was IO. I wanted to show it. Gameplay reveal. Beyond the Light. Oh, maybe this is it. I think this is it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Lights, a series where developers...
Also met Frederick when we were out there.
Bye.
Oh, you can
Joyce and Dennis.
Oh, that's amazing.
I appreciate that they broke it up, where the underlings may not know everybody involved. They're an underling, like they wouldn't know everybody that's working that location. But the people in charge would. So you can't bluff them in the same way.
I
know that guy. So yeah, they have been listening to reactions, looking at them. And so when I tell you guys, leave comments, let people know your feelings, do it. Like, the gameplay director is literally watching one of the videos. He's watching a stream clip. So he's seeing your comments. He's seeing everything you're saying. When I read out your comments in chat, he can see those. Like, communicate what you think. And you can actually get it seen by the people in charge, you know? Voice your opinion, and it can have an impact. And as we've seen, they've actually come forward. They've announced they're going to delay it, which I think, again, is the right choice. And now I think the odds of it being good and actually getting polished to where it needs to be, I think have gone up a lot. So let's go. Let's get it. May, here we come. May, here we come. Have I watched Neon Knight's new video on The Witcher 3 DLC? No, I saw it pushed in my feed. It's probably in like the side recommended of one of these tabs. It's probably somewhere. I'll have to look for it. But yeah, I did see he posted it. We won't react to it on stream because I don't want to step on his views or anything. But yeah, usually we try to wait like, you know, a few days if it's a smaller, like if it's a creator, if it's a 20 million sub YouTube channel like IGN, their video is going to do how their video does. So I'm less worried there. But if it's an individual creator or something, I try to give their video space, you know. Try to give it space. Okay. I'm sorry. Over the break, I was reminded of this. I just have to show you this again. New little mini segment sort of thing. I'm sorry, I just have to complain about this because it showed up back up on my feed over the course of Christmas break, and I just had to share it again. You guys remember a little game called Detroit Become Human? Little game called Detroit. I know it got memed on because robots singing about their feelings is like low-key cringe. I really like Detroit Become Human. I think it's fantastic. I really like it. It has cringy moments, absolutely, but the level of consequence and choice and player freedom built into that game is outrageous. There's nothing quite on that level. Well, what did that studio go and do after this? They spent 7 years working on another game. It will be, well, yeah, it'll be 8 years by the time their next game launches. And do you know what that next game is? Well, it was revealed and kind of forgotten about. It was revealed back in October, I believe, but it was forgotten. Spellcasters Chronicles. You thought it was Star Wars?
At Caleb's 92 donated $10
You poor
Super
fool.
Chat. That's right. Your donations can help make gaming great again, chat.
You're damn right.
So make sure to donate. $4.99 will get ready in stream and only $9.99 for TTS.
Yeah, I got to tell the devs. I'm like, only read the super chats. Don't read the regular comments. They have to pay for that privilege. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if like that? Oh, that would be funny. No. They'll read all of your comments, super chatted or not. I appreciate the super chats, but you do not need to give me money. It's fine. Just put your comments down there. Let's see. Yeah, so if you forgot or missed it somehow, October 16th, they posted this. They've since held the closed beta, so they've had the beta and received feedback from it, but this is the game. They disappeared after working on Detroit Become Human for years and years and years. They announced Star Wars Eclipse, and that apparently is somewhere. It's not been canceled, but nobody knows where it is, and there's no updates on it. But this is what they've got ready and what they're showing. It is a 3v3 magic-based... Is it like a MOBA mixed with action strategy battles? Summon hundreds of creatures, cast devastating spells, call upon the might of the Titans to rise, the most powerful member of the community of spellcasters to shape the fate of the world together. Okay. Build your deck. So it's like a deck builder of different heroes and monsters. Summon hordes of creatures. Then you fight against them. I don't know. Honestly, I've seen worse. Like, I think this at least looks more unique than like Highguard, for example, which just kind of looks like Fantasy Concord. This at least looks more unique. But the fact that we're seeing a team that's known for like phenomenal choose your own adventure style cinematic experiences now doing this, it's like, really? They were bought out, I believe, by NetEase. Yes. They were bought out by NetEase. And they were the first European studio that the Chinese company bought out. And almost certainly that's the reason why they're being pushed to make this, because it seems like a game that would be successful in China. But as you can see, this is what it looks like when you're actually playing it. And I mean, once again, I've seen worse. It's not a great standard. And who knows, maybe this ends up being really fun and successful, but I feel like I'm allowed to be frustrated that the studio that previously made really good choose your own adventure games that nobody else was really making, they've been spending, by the time this launches, 8 years working on this. And I'm like, what, guys? Guys, come on. What are we doing? I don't know. Again, at least it's unique. At least it's like different from just being another hero shooter or something. Like, at least it's a little more unique, but I'm just tired. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. After all that time, this is what they come out with. And I think they knew that it was going to be received like that, which is why they quietly announced it in October. A lot of you guys hadn't even heard of it. Whereas something like High Guard, I really think how you announce these things and frame it is a big deal. I really think that you can't just like pretend like it's going to be the next huge thing and then have it just happen. Like you don't get to make it a thing unless players actually believe it. Like this just looks meh, but at least the other one, like I haven't seen anything exactly like it. But anyway, so there you go. I had to complain about it. I had to whine about it. I saw it. I had to share it with you, so I'm not alone. There you go. Make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Closing these tabs. Close. Real quick. So there was a Reddit post posted 6 days ago. It is based on an article that was posted on a Polish website. And if I do a little translation, you can see Witcher 3 expansion will premiere in May 2026, predicts analyst Noble, and recommends accumulating CD Projekt shares. Full disclosure, I don't own any CD Projekt Red shares because it would be a conflict of interest. I cover the games, blah, 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 blah. But I figure I should clarify that I do not own shares of these companies that I talk about. Not like directly. I own like my retirement account has like the S&P 500. So I guess technically if there's something like Microsoft is within that, I guess technically I indirectly own shares, but I'm not like trading these companies. If you follow my drift. But what does this individual say about all of this? Well, it's interesting. So the release of the new expansion pack for The Witcher 3 is scheduled for May of 2026. And if you missed it, yes, there actually is a DLC planned. Like they're doing a DLC for The Witcher 3. And my understanding is that it's intended to be a connecting thing narratively between Witcher 3 and Witcher 4. So it's supposed to set up The Witcher 4 narratively speaking with like the canon ending and set all of that. So Mateusz Chrzanowski, an analyst at Noble Securities, has updated the schedules and budgets for CDPR's flagship projects in his latest report. He anticipates a paid add-on for The Witcher 3 in May of 26 and the release of The Witcher 4 in Q4 of 27, which follows in line with what I've been saying. Slam dunk, as it were. It also, I'm sorry, I have to bring it up. My hope has been that we get like a face-off just like The Witcher 3 versus Fallout 4. My hope has been that we get a face-off across like Witcher 4 and Elder Scrolls 6, because I think that'd be thoroughly fascinating to see how those compete against each other. Looks like realistically it's still probably about a year apart, because I think the earliest we see Elder Scrolls 6 is probably late 28. I don't think we see it in 27. Would love to be wrong. Would love to be wrong, but time will tell. Time will tell. But it continues on. Along with significant increase in production and marketing costs for the entire trilogy, further down the line, there will be the Cyberpunk Orion with multiplayer component and reshovels at Sirius and Canis Majoris. All this will take place amid market competition with GTA 6. Noble Security's report was made public on December 16th, shortly after Strefa Investorov published an interview with Mateus in which he revealed some details of his assumptions, including, among other things, he suggested that one of CDPR's unannounced projects was the DLC for The Witcher 3, which would serve as a bridge between the final part of the previous trilogy and a new opening of the saga with simultaneous launch of The Witcher 4 campaign. What he said was that he expects another paid DLC for The Witcher 3 to be released in May. We anticipate sales of 11 million copies at $30 each. So this is expected to be a $30 paid expansion. We estimate the production budget at 40 or 52 million Polish, I believe it's krona. The release should kick off the actual marketing campaign for The Witcher 4, which would be interesting because if they do this, they do say a contracted marketing cycle for The Witcher 3 DLC in May. We could see, that would give it like a year and a half of marketing. That's not insane. GTA was announced 2 years ago, like at this point. So a year ago? No, 2 years ago. I don't even know at this point. Who knows? But it's not insane to have a year and a half. BGS has been doing like a decade for Elder Scrolls 6, technically. So there you go. There you go. $30 DLC 11 years later would be ballsy, but they could absolutely pull it off. What I find so interesting, and the reason I've been skeptical of all of this for so long, is because CDPR made a very public transition into Unreal Engine, like very public. They're like one of the big companies doing it with Unreal and with Epic Games. And so seeing them go back to the previous tool set, the Red Engine 3, would just be surprising, because it's like they've spent all this time upgrading their workflows and all of their company stuff to be able to use Unreal Engine, but then they're going to go back and use the old tools to build the DLC. I know it's a separate team that's doing it, a dedicated team, but still, I just have found that surprising. But this analyst is pretty confident that it's going to happen. The analyst also estimates smaller undisclosed projects for next year. Quote, we estimate the budget for undisclosed projects that may debut next year at 28 million and potential sales revenue for the upcoming next year at 61 million. Witcher 4 at the end of 27 and a higher price tag for the trilogy. Following statements by the company's management that The Witcher 4 will not be released before 2027, Noble Securities has extended its production cycle estimates by 1 year and now expects the game to be released in Q4 of 27, which it roughly lines up with everything else that they're doing, because they've been pretty clear. The thing with some big companies like an EA or an Activision when they were publicly traded is that when they do these earnings calls, they have so much going on that they don't have to go into too much detail. CDPR is relatively specialized. Like, they don't have a ton of IP. It's not like they're juggling Madden and FIFA and all this other stuff. So they are able to keep it pretty well focused, and as a result, when they do earnings calls, they get asked about Witcher 4, the next Cyberpunk, like what else is there to talk about. So that's generally where we get more details and more information about their plans. So none of this is particularly surprising. Orion with multiplayer premiere on the 10th anniversary of Cyberpunk. Dude, it's so insane to think of Cyberpunk 2077 as having a 10th anniversary and releasing a sequel on that day. Do you not feel so old? Bro. Dude, they want to release... He's saying that they think they're going to release it on the 10th anniversary. I feel so old. Regarding the sequel to Cyberpunk, Noble Securities points out that the team working on the project as part of the studio's second key franchise consists of 135 people and is expected to double in size within 2 years. Quote, the desire to integrate multiplayer mode into the production prompted us to to extend the production time beyond the state resulting from the progress of work on Benchmark W4. As a result, the budget has grown to 1.5 billion Polish krona, and we expect the release in Q4 of 2030, the 10th anniversary of the original game. Let me see. What does that translate to? So about $400 million is what it would roughly translate to in terms of budget. Woof. Okay. What else? Sirius, Canis Majoris, and Hadar shifts and reorganization in the pipeline. As for progress on other projects, there are still no breakthroughs inside. The number of developers working on Sirius and Hadar increased by 14 and 11 at the turn of the year. Meanwhile, Fool's Theory team working on The Witcher 1 remake has been moved to support W4 or Witcher 4, from which it will draw assets. As a result, we are postponing the release dates of Sirius and Canis Majoris, The Witcher 1 remake, by 1 year. To 2028. We have also lowered the price of both games by $10 and expect the production budget by the expected production budget by 50 million. Hadar remains in the pre-concept phase, so based on the duration and conceptual work in the case of Orion, we are postponing the debut by 2 years to 2032. Woof. So they're adding a lot of time. They think all of these projects are getting postponed and delayed. Because when we did our video like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago covering the timelines for all of this stuff, it was much more ambitious than this. A lot more stuff was launching in the late 2020s, but they're expecting a lot of it to get delayed and pushed out. Interesting. Quote, the battle for supremacy with GTA 6. The broker's analyst places Witcher 4 in the broader context of market forces. The gaming market is awaiting the release of the next installment of the GTA series, which is currently scheduled for November 19th of 2026. In addition to rumors of a possible price hike for the game, which is a benchmark for other AAA productions, investors may also see confirmation of an upward shift in the ceiling for game sales volume. This would confirm the trend seen on Steam, where the biggest hits are reaching ever higher maximum player peaks. In the Golden Joystick Awards 2025, The Witcher 4 lost by only 2 percentage points to GTA 6 in competition for the title of the most anticipated game, which illustrates the scale of the brand's development and its potential, which is crazy. I didn't know that it only lost by 2 points. That's insane. The Witcher 4 lost by 2 points to GTA 6. GTA 6. Golly. I feel like AI wrote this. This is just how analysts write, dude. It's miserable. It's crazy. Yeah, they talk like robots. What does this mean for investors in the short term? Yeah, the important question. What does this mean for investors? In the short term, DLC for The Witcher 3 potentially in May of 26, and smaller projects may keep the fire burning before the release of The Witcher 4 and help achieve financial goals of the incentive program. In the medium term, the release of The Witcher 4 potentially in Q4 of 2027 and larger budgets, a significant increase in scale, but also in sales expectations. In the long term, Cyberpunk Orion Q4 of 2030 with multiplayer component and postponed Sirius, Canis Majoris, and Hadar. So Sirius, Canis Majoris 2028, Hadar 2032. The pipeline is long with significant expenditures, campaign synergies, and technological base of The Witcher 4 may amortize the cost of subsequent releases, which I think is part of the goal. Like, they want to pump out a full trilogy of Witcher games within like 6 years. It's a lot. To put that in perspective, if they kept that pace for Cyberpunk, we would have already gotten Cyberpunk 2, and Cyberpunk 3 would be coming out next year. That's the pace that they want to do for The Witcher. Okay. Is that even possible? On paper, I think so, because the point of all of this stuff they're doing with Unreal is that they build out tools and assets and all this stuff, so each game can just be sort of a refinement on the previous one, just ramping it up. And that should allow them to work faster and more dynamically and scale much better. But I mean, it requires a lot of very tight organization and I mean, they just, it has to be very well run. It has to be very well produced and organized. And that's one where, I mean, they did do major reshuffling and reorganization after Cyberpunk. So it's not impossible. We've looked at those videos of the game director for Cyberpunk's Phantom Liberty expansion and how he basically untangled the mess that was the company as it grew. So I think it's possible on paper, but that assumes that there's no other hiccups that come along. I mean, you never know. It could be that maybe there's some new technological development, or there's some new something or other that comes along with the next gen of consoles that throws things for a loop and makes it harder to develop for them or something, and that causes delays. You just never know. But I think what they're doing now is they've already said that The Witcher 4 is going to be developed for primarily like base PS5. That's what they showed off in that Unreal teaser. So I think they're developing it for lower tier systems, and that will allow them to scale upwards much more easily without having to try and get this behemoth working on weaker hardware, which is way more difficult than just adding bells and whistles. So it's gonna be fascinating, but that's their goal. Their goal is to pump out a full trilogy in like 6 years, which is insane. It's insane. So go the Assassin's Creed route. If you mean like have multiple teams around the world that are working simultaneously and then pump the games out fairly quickly, then yeah, we will, if they actually hit their targets, like the goal would be to get these 3 games out by like the early 2030s. Like that's the goal. So we'll see if it happens. I don't know, but even if it's only delayed by like year or 2, that's still crazy. You know, like to go from 1 year, or to like, even if you spend 3 years on a Witcher game, that's still insane. So hopefully it just doesn't affect like scope and scale, but they're designing it from this moment, from pre-production onward, to scale like that. And so we'll see. They may end up being smaller games than we expect. I don't know. But the main takeaway from this is, of course, that the analyst expects a paid expansion to The Witcher 3 that connects the 2015 game to The Witcher 4, and that it will kickstart the marketing cycle for The Witcher 4 going into 2027, which would be wild, because this is expected to launch in May, which would put it about a year and a half before the expected launch of The Witcher 4. And if they do that, I mean, the fact that they're expecting it to be $30, that's crazy too. I wonder what information they're running with. With the rumors, I was expecting a free couple of missions to tie the game to The Witcher 4. If it's paid DLC, I assume it's something significantly meatier. I think it has to be. If it's $30, wasn't Phantom Liberty $30? I think it was 30. I'm pretty sure. So that's the scale that they're talking about. The analyst is talking about. I'm not sure if they, like the company, if CDPR is going to do that, but that's the scale. If we get actual DLC 11 years later, I don't even know how I'd react. That's unheard of, but I'll be there day one. Damn, Cyberpunk Orion isn't coming out until 2030. Just imagine that. 10 years. Yeah, game development takes longer, way longer these days, but still, damn. Well, they also are building literally a new team and studio to do it. So the teams in Boston and is it Montreal? They have a brand new team that they're building to do the Cyberpunk stuff. So the team in Poland are the ones doing the Witcher stuff, and then they are literally building a new company effectively to do the Witcher or to do Cyberpunk stuff. So they're starting from literal scratch, but that means that they can build a studio and the people within the studio specifically for Cyberpunk, which I think could be a good thing. So I'm excited. As for Warsaw's also working on Cyberpunk 2. Yeah, so the way that they described it is that, like, I don't know what the exact translation would be, if it's like strike teams or what. Because the team in America is also doing support work on some other things. Vancouver, that's the other place they're in. Let's see. Yeah. So their expectation is that they will work in tandem with Warsaw, but their primary focus is to work on Project Orion. So primary projects associated with CD Projekt Red Boston is Cyberpunk 2, followed by continued work on Project Sirius. And you can see Untitled, The Witcher game, pre-production phase. So, you know, they're all going to help each other with various things, but that's the idea, at least. That's the idea. So we'll see. If they launch a $30 DLC for The Witcher a decade after launch, it will be very surprising. I think it needs to be big, because that puts it on the tier of like some of the biggest expansions they've ever done. So the expectations will be high, but you know, if anybody can pull it off, it's probably them. Let's be honest. The Grey Ghost, thank you for the sub. Caffeinated Pigeon, thank you for the sub as well. Iskitero, thank you for the sub as well. Thank you for all of that. Cool Pandas, thank you for the 2. Did you hear James Olin left Archetype? No. He was senior creative director at BioWare, where he worked for 22 years prior to starting the publishing company Arcanum. And let's see. Yeah, January 2020, the Coast established the studio known as Archetype Entertainment, with another BioWare guy.
At Dogmatic Socrates, Mammalian M1268 donated $10 through Super Chat. DLSS 3.10.4 is 4 months ago. Any idea when 3.10.5 will come or what's in it? Did you know you can use MFG plus?
Multi-frame generation and smooth motion. Did you know you can add multi-frame generation to games with 2x generation by adding SL files? I do remember somebody mentioning that you can go back in and kind of brute force your way to do it, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But I don't know anything about timelines. I don't know. I'm very... This hot take, I know. I'm getting kind of sick of NVIDIA, frankly. I'm getting a little tired of it. Just a little. They're starting to piss me off. They're starting to piss me off a little bit. Tell you what. I do think, like, I don't know anything about the multi-frame generation stuff or their plans for upgrading. I don't know. I don't have any information on that. I appreciate the $10 super chat. I just don't have any information. I will say though, I do think next year is going to be fascinating because we all are like saying, yes, GTA 6 is probably going to raise prices. Yes, all of this is going to happen. But literally, like, next year is expected to get pretty horrible in terms of pricing and price hikes for hardware. Like, it's going to be bad. It's already bad, but it's going to be bad. There's a report out today from Tom Henderson. RAM price increases could see the next generation of console releases delayed by like a year or 2 years, which is something we've talked about on stream. But basically, the primary price increases for current generation consoles will hit us in 2026. RAM modules have increased in price by several 100% in the last few months due to demand for AI, with the pursuit of AI seemingly not going away anytime soon. RAM availability could continue to be a bottleneck, or at the very least, the RAM shortage will mean that prices will continue to hike. It leaves console producers in a very tricky spot moving forward. While consoles have traditionally been subsidized to a certain extent in the past, it seems like RAM availability and price increases will mean that the next generation of consoles, which were already believed to be much higher priced than previous generations, could be extortionate. From what we understand, the situation has led to console manufacturers to debate whether the next generation of consoles should be delayed from their intended 27 to 28 release window, with the hope that RAM manufacturers will be able to build out their infrastructure to produce more RAM, thereby allowing prices to drop. Regardless of what happens, though, it seems the next couple of years could see the current generation of consoles increase in price even further. If you think it's just affecting PC RAM, it's not. It's going to affect everything. It's going to affect everything. This is no longer, and like, God forbid there's more tariffs, but like, imagine this with tariffs stacked on top. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's just going to get worse. Okay. And the thing is, and it's basic economics, right? It's all about supply and demand. Okay. For these RAM prices, the AI companies that are building data centers, Meta, Google, Microsoft with Oracle, all those guys, all of them, they are bidding for a product. That's the demand. That's high. And it's only getting higher and higher, right? The supply is pretty much flat. It's not changing because it takes years to build out fabs and to do the stuff to manufacture things like RAM, for example. And so if the demand is skyrocketing, but the supply stays the same, the price goes up. So how do you fix that? You increase supply or decrease demand? Economics 101, right? It's like literally the first thing you learn in your first class in an economics class. How do you decrease demand? You have an AI crash and data centers cancel their orders. That's not that easy to do because these data centers represent like 50 to $100 billion investments. Once they break ground, they're pretty well locked in. Okay. So you're not just going to see them casually cancel plans. So I don't think that's happening. And if it were to start happening, it would take like 2-3 years for it to ripple down and the demand to drop. So then how else do you deal with it and get prices lower? You increase supply. Increasing supply takes years of increased manufacturing capacity. So still you're like 2 years, 3 years out. So there's no quick fix. At the very least, there's no fix for next year. Like that's the thing. There's no fix for next year. I have a roll of paper towels that the AC keeps hitting and moving, and so it looks like there's somebody in the room with me. I swear there's not. It's just paper towels. See? Paper towels. But this is what I've been saying is that in order for there to be some correction, quote unquote, to the prices, there has to be some impetus for it. There has to be some market movement, and there's just not. Like, I don't see it. I don't see it. So my guess and my expectation is that prices are only going to continue skyrocketing. It's going to get more expensive next year. I think next year you probably see consoles like PS5, PS5 Pro, the Switch 2, the Xbox Series consoles. Certainly they will all start to go up in price. PC components will start to go up in price. GPUs on the PC side will go up significantly because Nvidia already said they're going to slash production by like 40% for 50 series cards. So that's only going to drive prices up even higher. And like I've said, like a couple of weeks ago, the odds, like a few months ago, the idea of $1,000 starting price for like next gen consoles, that was seen as insane. Now, I'd be surprised if they launch in 2027. I'd be surprised if it's under 1,000, frankly. That's how much all of this is skyrocketing. You don't get to raise the price of core components by 300% and not change like the final price tag. It's just going to get worse, you know? It's just going to get worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if they delay the launch of consoles, because I think that, you know, even Sony and Microsoft know launching a console at $1,000 doesn't move units. People are not going to pay that. Like maybe if you launch a base console at 500 and then you launch the premium whatever Pro on day one at 1,000, maybe there you can get away with it. But I think even they are like, it's just not going to work. So they're going to hold out and they're going to do all sorts of negotiations and try to strong arm companies to get, you know, volume discounts and things like that. But man, it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy. So, you know, bookmark this. I'm guessing in a year, prices are going to be insane. Prices are going to be insane. And I think for people like you and me, the lesson should be used components are just fine. Getting a used PS5, just fine. Getting a used I almost said 1070. Don't get a 1070. You're going to have a bad time. Get a used 3070 or 3080 or something. You know, do something like that. You don't need to buy new, especially when the prices are so insane. There will be people who are still willing to spend money and have expendable income to be able to buy the fanciest stuff. There's going to be insufferable YouTubers who are buying it regardless. No doubt. But buy their used components. Do that. Do that instead. Don't go and pay $3,000 for a 5090. You know, just don't do it. A used 1070 must be like $4. Dude, how much is? I had a 1070 back in the day. Sure did. It was a cool GPU. $80. Oh no, this one's $8. Oh, box only, no graphics card, box only. Who's buying a box? Is it literally just to resell your GPU? Like you buy the box and put your GPU in it and then it sells for it? Is that what it is? Maybe. $90, 25. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, still $25. Why are 10 people watching it? Is it so they can like take off memory modules or something? Why else would you do it? Maybe you take apart the cooler and you can splice it on. I don't know, man. Maybe. Still $25. But this is what we're dealing with, okay? Like, I think used components are going to be the way to go. People are about to get thrifty. And that's assuming that also other economic factors don't come into play. Like, shocker, people are kind of struggling right now, okay? There's a lot of people who are struggling to put food on the table, pay their rent, make their mortgage payments. Like, it's not great out there. It's not. And I don't know if it's going to get any better. And so I think you combine that with all the other price hikes. It's not going to be fantastic. It's not going to be fantastic. But maybe what this does is if people just stop freaking buying things at full price, it'll force the developers, publishers, manufacturers to get competitive with pricing and to drop the prices. So instead of a 30% margin, maybe they only get a 10% margin. It's better than zero. You know, it's better than not selling anything at all. So we'll see. Let's see. Gonna get the IBM 486 66 megahertz PC out of storage. Yeah, it's about time. How will they eat? I know, dude. Well, a lot of this is if the big companies, a lot of these biggest companies like Microsoft, they are paying for their AI investments with the more profitable sectors of their business. And that's what Microsoft's been doing.
1167 donated $9.
I don't think they'll be able to do that next year.
Through Super Chat. Considering everything skyrocketing in price, do you think pre-built PCs could outsell consoles if people are tired of Sony and Microsoft's antics?
The suggestion being that like the economies of scale could allow prices to be lower. I don't think it's impossible that could have an impact. I don't know to what scale that would be. I do think that things like the Steam machine, for example, will start to look a lot more appealing next year. A lot of people will start to be like, yeah, I could see that. Because they can manufacture those in bulk. Because it's just one SKU, you know, versus a PC.
That's true. It is rough out there. So chat, make sure to help Luke out and donate. For only $4.99 your chat can be read live in stream. Help Luke get that RAM heart.
He says through a super chat. Thank you, Caleb. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, exactly. Let's do it. Pull a DSP. Okay, guys, come on. Let's get the goal. Otherwise, I'm going to have to eat a lunch meat sandwich. No, stop giving me money. It's fine. Why not just download RAM? Somebody's asking the right questions. You're asking the right questions, my friend. Did you know you can just Google it? You can just Google download RAM and you can get as much as you want. All these people paying $800 for a couple sticks, bro. Cringe. Tell you what, most of these companies pursuing the AI bubble are just cannibalizing their own sales on whatever they already have. My problem, and this is not just my problem, this has been outlined by many people way smarter than me. But the problem is that you have companies like Microsoft, and then you have companies like OpenAI, and then you have companies like Oracle, or maybe we do NVIDIA. Okay. And then you have like Oracle. Or maybe a better, no, Oracle's a good one. And what they're doing is like Microsoft is giving $50 billion to OpenAI for building out data centers. And then OpenAI gives $100 billion, or they give, let's just keep it the same. They give 50 billion. And then they give 50 billion to NVIDIA for GPUs. And then NVIDIA goes and they need to build out the data centers that they can put their GPUs into. So they go and they sign a $50 billion contract with Oracle. But then Oracle announces a joint partnership with Microsoft where they are going to do a joint infrastructure development for $50 billion. And so it's the same money just being passed around in a circle, and then they act like they achieved something. And that's not how business works. You know? That's not how that works. The other significant problem, there's something Michael Burry, who predicted 5 of the last 1 market crashes. Michael Burry pointed this out. He's the guy from The Big Short. They changed how they account for I'm blanking on the term. They changed how they handle their accounting when it comes to depreciation. So most server infrastructure is like outdated within 3 years. So if I clear this off, so if you spend $50 billion on stuff, over the course of 3 years, its value decreases basically to 0. And then you need to refresh it, put new GPUs in, right? Because technology does that. So what they do is that they break it up over the course of like 3 years. And every year they write off a certain amount. Maybe it's, $20 billion here, write off $20 billion here, and then 10 billion down here. Okay. That's how most companies would do this with like big tech advancements, and it has tax benefits and it can make your books look better. What they've done is they've changed it, and they very covertly changed how they do it. So instead of every 3 years, things are broken out and depreciated. Now they're doing it over the course of 5 years, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But things start to break down when you change the standards, It starts to break down. There's also the flip side, which is what NVIDIA has been alleged to be doing, where they start at 5 years for some server infrastructure like data centers. And then what they do is that they changed it back to 3 years so that they can write off bigger chunks of it early. And then therefore their balance sheet looks better. And so, all of this gets like really screwy really quickly. Because like if you go from 3 years to 5 years depreciation schedules, but your hardware is actually useless after 3 years, that's a problem, because like all of your accounting doesn't make sense anymore. But the reason they do it is because then they don't have to act as though their assets are losing value as quickly as they actually are. You can say that your assets still have more value than they actually do, which makes your books look better, right? It's sneaky accounting that makes it look like your company is doing way better than it actually is. And we're seeing a lot of this stuff happen all at the same time, which is why people are saying that it looks like a bubble. It's just not good. It's not good. So what you do with that information is up to you, but I would be anxious. If you have a lot of money in the stock market, just chill. Like, the old saying, or the old recommendation is to just not touch it. Don't screw with it. Don't panic sell. Don't do none of that stuff. Just leave it. And if you just leave it, you'll probably be fine. Okay. Might take a while to recover, but just don't touch it. Don't mess with it. Even after big crashes like the dot-com bubble and like 2008, things can still work out. Just don't screw with it. Because when people are panicking, they tend to act very irrationally and then get screwed. So just don't do that. Just don't do that. Don't panic. Yeah. Okay. This greed will pop in 5 to 7 years. If bubbles increase greed, where the government will step in, people will have enough and go make petitions and ask the government to step in, and then the greed will be regulated. If you, I don't know which country you're from, but in the US, a lot of our politicians are this is breaking news, they're very close with some of these biggest companies and firms, and they own a lot of stock in those companies and firms. So if regulation would cause their value to drop, the politicians will conveniently not regulate it. Shocking. I know. Stunning. So a lot of these companies are based in the US, and US politicians have a pretty vested interest in keeping them happy and keeping those companies at high valuations. So I would be very skeptical of like regulation that decreases the value of the firms. I don't think that that's going to happen. Call me a cynic, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Speaking of AI, let's talk about this. This is super fun. This will make you guys super happy. News, man. Who here likes Halo? Or liked it back when they were making games and they weren't doing whatever they've been doing for the last 5 years? If you like Halo, I have some exciting news. Thrilling. Shocking. Even. Rebs Gaming. Video game reporter. I report breaking news, produce exclusive video reports, and share footage of new gaming content. He made a post on December 23rd and linked to a video that he put together. Halo Studios just hired Angela Hession, maybe? I'm not sure. Chief of Staff, former Microsoft COO, or Chief Operations Officer is what that stands for, and founded an AI enablement firm. AI enablement. I didn't know you could do that, but apparently you can. Also, I previously reported that Halo Studios is using generative AI in game development. To prove this, I've gathered all the information, including my conversation with and screenshots from a developer. I explain everything in my new video. So I pulled up this new video. Again, Rebs Gaming is the source. Get your booty over here. Hit this button and give it a like. I want to see how it breaks down, because we need more reporting like this in the industry. Let's see what they've got to say. What's going on?
Is Rebs and Go Birds. In September, only a month before the campaign evolved reveal.
Never mind, he's an Eagles fan. Never mind, different video. I'm kidding.
Halo Studios' former chief of staff, Melissa Boone, left the studio. Her replacement was just confirmed, and their background includes artificial intelligence enablement. In a previous report, I revealed that, according to a source, Halo Studios is implementing AI in all areas of development. My reports gained a lot of attention. Even Rolling Stones magazine questioned Halo Studios about my report. Yes, your boy Rebs made it into Rolling Stones magazine, no big deal. But anyway, in this video report, I'm going to reveal Halo Studios' new chief of staff and review evidence of Halo Studios using AI to develop games, including what I was told and shown by someone who worked with them. A few days ago, Angela Hession announced that she joined Halo Studios as their new chief of staff. Previously, Angela worked at Microsoft for 11 years, which included her roles as Global Head of Gaming Safety and Trust and the Strategy and Operations Director.
Co-led development of Project Artemis, an industry-first anti-grooming detection something partnership with Thorn and global enforcement stakeholders. So they had they built a tool to detect grooming. That's crazy. I mean, I'm glad. That's good. Roblox, are you paying attention? Paying attention? I've heard Roblox could use something like this. Anyway.
She also worked at Twitch for over 3 years as their Chief Customer Trust Officer.
Okay, well, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's good people that work at Twitch, but I will say the overall Twitch experience has left me fairly jaded, let's just say.
So she has very legitimate experience. But here's where things get interesting. She is the founder of Hession Consulting AI, an AI enablement firm that helps technology, gaming, and commerce corporations integrate AI-driven strategy. This is interesting because Microsoft is heavily investing in AI, and I reported that Halo Studios is weaving AI into all areas of game development. If I had to guess, Angela's experience with AI enablement played a big role in why she was hired. To support this claim and my previous report, I'm going to review all of the evidence of Halo Studios using AI, starting with a senior AI engineer job listing that they posted last year. It states, design and implement scalable and efficient solutions that leverage generative AI and machine learning to augment in-game experiences and to improve how we make games.
Now listen here. A lot of the AI in game development debate, I feel, is like wasted discussing and talking past each other. Because so often people will debate, be like, AI is terrible. But they're not specific as to what they actually mean, because AI is such a broad term, it can mean like 50,000 different things, right? What most people, I think, mean is they mean generative AI. They mean using something like DALL-E to make the concept art, or they mean using OpenAI to write character dialogue. Like, that's what they mean. They don't like that. But I don't think they have a problem with like using AI tools to organize feedback from playtests. Like, I don't think they have a problem with that AI, you know? So I think you have to be more specific with what's being described, just in general. I do think that at this point, it's clear that what Microsoft is doing with Halo Studios is they are trying to specifically use generative AI throughout the entire dev process. So the whole scandal that happened with Expedition 33, where they had when they were building the game, they used AI to make like a little poster that they put on one of the poles in the game. That poster was accidentally left in the game because they did a whole pass through the whole game where they tried to take out all of the placeholders and placeholder textures, but they missed one. And it was this poster on a pole. They missed it, and then they patched it out like a couple days after launch. That is why they were disqualified from the Indie Game of the Year awards, because they said they didn't use any AI in the game, but because they used that disqualified them. But that's what like they used it for. They were using it to create placeholder textures until they made the final one and put it in the game by hand. Maybe that's what they're doing too, is they're using AI to do placeholder textures or something. I'm kind of skeptical. I'm guessing that they're going to do something more aggressive. But I do think that this is just part of a broader push to normalize it. And this is their attempt to do it with like a big IP. And I think every other big company is going to do this. So a lot of these companies that have like billions of dollars at stake and invested in AI, like a Microsoft, or even Sony's invested a ton into AI in their corporate side of things. Of course, Epic Games and all those guys. What they're going to do is they're going to try to use AI and desensitize people to it through, in generative AI, through big releases that make it normal. Because it's not just about like people like you or me. It's about the quote unquote normies, the casual gamers who are going into like, they go on Amazon and sort by new releases and they buy their games through Amazon, or they just go to the PlayStation Store or Steam dashboard and buy it through there. Those types of people that are more casual, that aren't watching a stream like this or videos like this, they're the ones that they're going to try to appeal to with this type of thing, and just normalize it. So I think that it's, you know, Microsoft is they're not going to stop anytime soon.
This directly confirms generative AI is being used to create in-game experiences and improve development for new Halo games. Also, there are 2 new job listings that revolve around AI innovation for game development. The Microsoft Applied Scientist 2 job listing states, you will have the chance to work on artificial intelligence and machine learning projects and deliver solutions that will change the way we develop games and entertainment services. And you will be working with major franchises that include Halo. The other job listing prints with major...
To be clear, Halo, Forza, Gears of War, Microsoft Casual Suite. Literal casuals. But they are saying that these like AI engineers are going to be working on all of those projects. So all of them are going to be using these tools.
Franchises that include Halo. The other job listing, Principal Software Engineering Manager, is directly for Halo Studios and states, we are seeking a Principal Engineering Manager to lead the AI Workflow Innovation Team and introduce and to responsibly operationalize tools that accelerate art, animation, narrative, and design workflows, helping creators deliver high-quality content while maintaining full creative control. So the good news is they are claiming that creators will maintain full creative control while using AI tools. I also found some LinkedIn profiles of current Halo Studios employees that indicates they are using generative AI. Director Daniel Price is part of a team that is responsible for software engineering and development operations, which includes enabling cutting-edge development by supporting AI-driven automation. Senior producer Alvin Nelson acquired a generative AI for project management certificate in February. Senior UI technical artist Braden League acquired a generative AI with large language models certificate in April 2024. Lastly, people manager and product owner Susan Bunch acquired a Career Essentials in Generative AI certificate from Microsoft in February 2024. Here's the strongest piece of evidence that I have. I spoke to a...
I mean, all that's pretty clear. It's like they literally are saying we get it, like they're getting all the certificates, they're doing training in the back end for it. It's pretty clear to me, but what else is this? He says this is even more significant.
Legitimate known source who worked directly with Halo Studios. They contacted me to defend my report about generative AI being used for development and sent screenshots that show developers experimenting with generative AI on older Halo models and assets, and discussing how it can be used for game development. The evidence they sent me was captured between 2023 and the summer of 2024. I can't...
At Souljacker17 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Hey Luke, just opened my new Ouya for Christmas. Can't
For the
wait
television?
to play the Halo campaign Evolved demo when it comes out.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I want those games on the television, and I think people will use it on the television. Shout out Ouya. Dude, I looked into ordering one through eBay. They're actually kind of like a collector's piece. I don't know. I thought it would be cool to have like on the shelf behind me or something, but I don't know. It's hard to justify spending like $100 on an Ouya, you know, in 2025. But anyway,
share the screenshots because it would allow Halo Studios to figure out who told me, but my source shared the following message for all of you. My peers and I have seen enough in the spaces we directly worked, as well as from other developers, to reasonably conclude that the use of generative AI was, at the very least, seriously entertained for ongoing or future production by staff in senior or production management related positions with an intent to be exploited for studio research and development. It was suggested to us that operating space in Halo is tight, and freedom to expand areas, such as staffing and new projects, is limited by a rigid, finite amount of time and resources. Perhaps for multiple reasons, leadership and the studio are in a position with hands tied, and whether by the decision of Halo-adjacent leadership or a mandate from even higher above, their situation demands or encourages the use of generative AI as a critical component to their ongoing activities. Whatever the reason, it does not make what we witnessed any less disappointing. Now that we covered all the evidence, I want to ensure that you all understand how AI is being used in game development and the problem it causes. So I spoke to former Halo Studios art director Glenn Israel about how AI can be a helpful tool for game developers and problematic. You may have seen my report about Glenn, who left Halo Studios in October just a few weeks before the campaign Evolved reveal, and posted a message on LinkedIn that indicates he left because of leadership issues. I began my conversation with him by asking how does Halo Studios use AI for developing Halo games, and he responded with, "I'm sorry, I wish I could comment on that, but I just can't. So take that as you will." He then continued with the following paragraph about how AI is beneficial and problematic. I can say that, broadly speaking, no one that is engaged in the act of actually making games in this industry is in favor of generative AI executing creative work. But the issue is a little more nuanced than AI is bad. There's a lot of grunt work that AI can do that's potentially helpful and actually good for games in the long run.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, this is why I think you got to be more specific. Like, a lot of the busy work for, like, say you do a play test for something and then you get all those player feedback responses where they fill out a survey and stuff. You could have like an AI tool crawl through that data, create presentations and figure out what the common threads were and common problems were very, very quickly compared to the human labor involved with that. My understanding is there's also AI tools for like bug, whatever they call it, not bug finding, there's an actual term for it, but for basically filtering down and trying to find little problems within some code, like common problems. So there's some cases where there's also plenty of cases where it writes terrible code that's useless, but still. This is why I think you got to be more specific. I think the main point, though, is that these companies that are investing hundreds of billions of dollars into AI tools, they're not going to stop. Like, it's here to stay. It's more about setting the standard and the expectation, and that creative integrity needs to be maintained, and that AI should not be replacing people. Like, that should be the standard. But, you know, that goes against the very point. They're trying to put this in place so that it can replace people. It's just like the story where there were those layoffs at King, the studio that was part of Activision Blizzard. King. There were a bunch of layoffs, and they were like level designers or puzzle designers for Candy Crush, and they were laid off after making AI tools that built levels. So they built their own replacement. It's crazy.
Donated $10 through Super Chat. We already use AI in gaming all the time. The trees in Witcher 3 or AC Shadows were not individually placed every time. They used AI to place most of the vegetation.
Oh, it stopped reading it. We are in a transition period. Well, and so this is why it's also specificity is important, because I think when most people are discussing AI in games, they don't mean procedural tools. They mean generative AI using like deep learning, machine learning, and generative AI models. That's typically what they're referring to, I think. And that's what they have a problem with. They don't have a problem with procedural generation, even if that's using some machine learning in some cases. But that's why specificity matters.
Expert systems built around scientific knowledge regarding human kinesiology can help add realism between animation keyframes, for example, or common knowledge best practices informing time-intensive but otherwise not challenging coding. It's when AI crosses the line between a tool one uses to make content and an author of that content that it becomes problematic. Glenn also said, it's an industry-wide issue and there are plenty of people in positions of power who aren't actually making games and don't understand the distinction at all.
And I think that's the big problem. Satya Nadella, do you think he gives a crap about creative integrity? Come on. He's a guy that's good at organizing data center manufacturing and building. He's good at distribution of software like the Microsoft suite. That's what he's good at. Do you think he gives a crap about creative integrity in like the arts? No. No. Okay. Like, doesn't give a crap. Doesn't matter to him. So I agree that there's plenty of people in positions of power who aren't actually making the games and don't understand the distinction at all. Absolutely. But those are the people that are putting the mandate and requiring them to use these generative AI tools because they're like, this is the future and we need to be futuristic in our endeavors. You know?
To summarize, AI helps complete a lot of grunt work and can improve games, but it should only be used as a tool by talented developers and not a replacement for them. Also, what Glenn said about leaders in the gaming industry is incredibly concerning because it indicates that many leaders are replacing talented developers with AI to make content. Lastly,
which, I mean, has literally happened. I mean, do you need the most creative person to make a Candy Crush level that a grandma's going to be doing in her recliner at 4 a.m? Probably not. I don't make Candy Crush levels, but I can't imagine there's that much heavy lifting. I'm sure most of it is automated at this point just with basic algorithms. But like a lot of people were laid off. I think it was like 100 people were laid off of King. And a lot of them had worked on AI tools to build levels that would eventually replace them, you know? And so, you know, it may start with small things where people may not notice. The problem is when they start laying off writers and they start laying off, you know, the art teams and stuff and replacing them with just generative AI tools. And my problem with it especially is that generative AI is by definition derivative. It is by definition trained on a data set, and then it kind of rehashes and mixes and matches things together from those things. Sometimes it can be really good at covering up some of that and making it hard to distinguish what was original and what wasn't. But it's by definition not creating something. It's reworking other things and remashing them into something else. It's why Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two Interactive, of all people, had the most refreshing take, where he's like, no, AI tools will never create something new and fresh. It won't make GTA 7 because it's not creating anything. It can just create like imitation of GTA 5 or GTA 6, but it's not going to actually create something that groundbreaking. AI is better than ML in terms of, I mean, at least the AI will try. ML seems to be unconcerned with even trying, so there's that. What CEO and directors do not understand is engines are specifically designed for one type of game. It's impossible to make an engine for multiple types of games unless you compromise and cut and invent new features that are non-existent. Example, you make an engine for FPS, you cannot use the engine for racing games. You can use the engine for race. Okay. I think that's true for some, but then they also can rework those tools into being used for other things. Just like the original, do you know what the original game that the Rage engine was used for? The Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, the Rage engine that's used for Red Dead 2 and GTA 6 and all those games. Do you know what the original game was that this was used for? Rockstar Games presents Table Tennis. So this is where the GTA engine started. Okay, so just because something started for something else does not mean that it can't be used for other things. Certainly, but anyway, let's wrap this up. It's almost over.
Rolling Stone magazine questioned Halo Studios about my report that claims they are using AI to develop games. Shout out to the author, Alyssa Mercant, for reaching out to me and asking Halo Studios. When pressed to confirm or deny if anything players would see or hear in Campaign Evolved was made with generative AI, game director Greg Herman said, "It's a tool in a toolbox." This is an indirect way of saying yes without revealing specifics, and somewhat confirms my report. If they were only...
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're just going to be like, it's a tool.
$10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
The argument that I is derivative assumes I won't change in the future. I feel like people can't see the potential in the future. Which is the point of investing? It's a future-based economic choice. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think also, so the point about like generative AI being derivative, it assumes it won't change in the future. How these tools are currently built is that they are trained on data sets. They don't actually logic or reason. That's not how they work. They can give the illusion of logic or reason or choice, but they're not actually doing that. That will take a different strategy and like entirely. Like what modern generative AI tools are effectively doing is using neural nets to make predictions and try and present what it thinks you want to see based off of the input. And some other factors, like, you know, with generative AI images, you can set like chaos parameters or different parameters for style or whatever. But ultimately, it's just trying to fill in the blank based on what it thinks you want to see based on the prompt. And so it's not truly producing something. So if we get to the point where generative AI can actually produce something, then yeah, that's basically a different tool. But the ones that are being refined right now just don't work that way, you know? But anyway.
Only using generative AI to improve workflows and not to create in-game content, they would have just said so. Alright, that concludes the report. Based on the evidence, I believe Halo Studios has been and is increasing their use of AI for developing new Halo games. Also, I hope this report helped you understand how AI is being used in the gaming industry and the issues it causes. Make sure to leave a comment about your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next video and first official live stream.
Sweet. Well done to Rebs Gaming. Great report. Again, go over, subscribe, hit the like button. Well done, well sourced and researched. But I think that it's pretty clear at this point that Halo, probably Gears, maybe even games like, well, not maybe, games like Forza, those will use it. Maybe games like Fable will use generative AI stuff. and it's just going to be the new norm, at least from them. I think there will be some studios where their big claim to fame is that they don't use any generative AI, and that's going to be like a selling point for some people, certainly. But I think all of the big players are going to be using it in their repertoire. And probably realistically, what's going to happen to normalize it fully is that companies like Epic are going to just build in AI tools into the engine and then be like, it's a tool. You can choose when to use it. You can choose it. But then every game made with Unreal Engine will have the AI generated content box checked by default because the tool uses generative AI for different things. And I think that's just going to be how they normalize it. I think in 5 years, there's going to be relatively little discussion about generative AI because I think everybody will just be kind of numb to it. And we'll be able to make fun of it, and we'll be able to tell, like, this game's script was written by AI. I can tell. And we'll make fun of it and mock it, but I think that's going to be the new frontier. Like they'll fire the people who wrote Saints Row Reboot, and instead we'll just get super generic AI written scripts, which maybe is an improvement, because I'll be real, the Saints Row script, I don't think AI would even write something that terrible. so maybe it actually ends up being better in some cases, but I think that this realistically is just going to be the new normal, because I think the ultimate deciding factor is whether people buy it and use it and like reward it with money, and I think they're going to continue to do that. Oh, hello, my queen, my flame, my muse. She brought me a coffee. Thank you. Can you see that? She didn't even rehearse that. She just knows how to do that dance. How crazy is that? I went to theater school. Oh, she went to school. She has a degree. There you go. Love you. Pogwife in chat. Dutch Bros. No, this is human bean. Human bean. I'm a human bean. Yes, it is. Tall. Yeah. That's a handsome woman. You're damn right. Damn right. What kind of coffee is this? This is from, I believe, they don't put a sticker or anything on it, but I believe this is a Peppermint Peak, which is their winter coffee right now. It is an Americano that has a dash of cream in it, and then they do like a peppermint cold foam thing on top that like seeps down. It's very good. Yeah. AI wife confirmed. Yes, we've spent $50,000 producing that real-time interaction. How crazy is that? Okay. Fear the game's writing trained on AI, Saints Row. Dude, if they train the AI on Saints Row, we are actually screwed. That's reason for true panic. Then we can all lose our minds. So anyway, going back to this, Halo Studios, they're using AI throughout the entire thing, it seems, and it's Jover. I would expect that when we see Gears, all of that, it's going to use it, and they're just basically going to dare you. Okay, you don't like it? Don't play it. But you like Halo, you like Gears, you're going to play it anyway, aren't you? And that's how they're going to push it. So, buckle up, buckaroo. Well done, Rebs Gaming. Glad to see you're doing well, and I hope to see more reports in the future. Real quick, pretty sure Luke would straight up die if he drank black coffee. He's never not drinking some basic pitch coffee. Yeah, a little bit. I will say, when I go out to like restaurants, I get black coffee. Like if I'm going to a breakfast or brunch place, I'm doing black coffee. But that's more because when I've tried to get fancier coffees at a brunch place, it's always terrible. Like if you go to a breakfast place that's known for pancakes and you order a flat white, you're gonna get a black coffee with some half and half splashed in. Like that's what you're getting, you know? So like certain places you can order fancier coffees or like more elaborate coffees, but you got to know where you are. A lot of those places don't even try. Don't even try. You know? Oh, this is also something that we got to talk about real quick. Hold up. You ready? Let's do this. You ready? News of it. honest feedback time, guys. While we were on Christmas break, Marathon on Christmas Eve of all days started posting some videos of before and afters. So they posted videos of the alpha versus the new updated version of the game, showing the side by sides and some of the improvements and things that they made. Now, I as you guys know, I try to be as fair with these things as possible. I think that it looks way better. Way better. Some people are being perhaps negative towards it. Others since says looks like a completely different game. Things you like to see: it but in yellow. That's funny. Someone cooked here. Alpha looked way cooler. I don't know how you could think that. I played a lot of the alpha, and bro, it didn't work for me. I think that the foliage looks way better. The post-processing effects also look way better. But they also shared some other stuff. So this is an actual gameplay snippet from the play test, okay, that they did in December, is my understanding. Do they have a higher bitrate version? Can I find that? Can I find the higher bitrate version? Marathon. Not of that exact clip, but we have some of the others. But like this I feel already looks way better. Way better. Like it is night and day from the play tests that they did earlier in the year. Like way better. I don't know if it's enough to actually save it or like actually make a difference, but it does look way better to me. Like you can see even on their page, which previously, I mean, this whole comment section would have been flooded with, let's say, toxicity. The game honestly looks so much better now. That was nasty. This game's gonna have a high skill ceiling for sure. Downloading this information, storing a file named things. Zachary's gonna find out in March. Okay. Oh, media artist. Okay. Actually, a skill gap better than Arc already. Xfil just got brutal. This looks so much better. Twitter compression. Yeah, dude, for real. UI looking clean. Oh my god, looks so much better than the first playtest. It's my Marathon husbands. They're famous. Okay. At this point, just make it a PvP game. I think that this is going to be really fascinating to see how this plays out. Never doubt the power of like Bungie's fan base. I think that there's going to be a lot of people who are playing games like Destiny right now and are looking for something else. There's also a lot of people who have been playing a lot of Arc Raiders and are looking for something else to sink their teeth into. But I do think that this is going to be fascinating to see how it plays out, because I think it looks way better graphically. And apparently they've done a ton of rebalancing, a ton of reworking, and even some new features and things have been added too that I am here for. Like the body degradation system is also really cool. I love the idea of that. Yeah. I think it looks way better. Like I said last or like over the summer when they initially delayed it, I was like, if they had launched it in September, I think it would have flopped 100%. Like zero chance of it being successful. But now, like after the delay, I was like, maybe now it's like a 5% chance that it finds an audience. After seeing all of the improvements that they've made, it could be up to like 10-15% chance. Still, I wouldn't put money into it if I was like an investor. I don't think I would. But I think that it's the odds of it being successful are significantly higher now. Still not something I put money on, but still, yeah, I think it's better. Let's see. Kyle, thank you.
At Kyle Parkhurst 1720 donated $10 through Super Chat. Companies. We're pushing games early and laying off people to max short-term profits over long-term. Also companies.
Classic.
We're putting a $1 billion down payment on AI to save in the long term.
Yeah. I think what it is, and I'm just being real. Have you noticed how AI is in freaking everything now? Like if a parent company has an app available, they'll put AI in it. Microsoft Paint right now has a Copilot button. Why the hell does Microsoft Paint need an AI integration? Why? It's all because the executives see AI as like the new internet. They see it as the new thing that you have to get in early and invest heavily into. Otherwise, you'll miss the boat. So the CEOs are trying to throw as much money in as they possibly can. But the CEOs are like, it's not going to have a major payoff until you get to be the company that has the like AGI, or you have the company that has the AI tool that actually like changes the world. And so they're like, how do we justify it to investors? I know, by showing them how many tokens are being redeemed, how much activity is being used within our tools. So they put it in freaking everything. It's why, like, have you noticed how Google, all of a sudden Google's AI usage has skyrocketed with Gemini? It's because if I just Google, fish love, it actually will produce an AI response. It's a term describing a self-centered way of loving where you love someone for pleasures and needs they fulfill for you, like the satisfaction of eating fish rather than loving the person for themselves, contrasting it with true, unconditional giving love. I just put two words together. I didn't realize this was an actual... I didn't realize it was an actual thing. Okay. Learn something new every day. Key aspects of fish love. Okay. Who knew this was an actual term? I didn't. I just learned something. Thank you, AI. But every time you use Google now, it's producing an AI response. So they can then use that and say, look, people are using our AI tool. So you should invest in us. People like our AI tool. Even though you're not actually like intentionally using the AI tool, they're kind of covertly using it for you, or how having you use it without realizing you're using it, you know? And that's how a lot of these companies are boosting their AI utilization stats to make investors happy and
At
impressed.
Souljacker17 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Hey Luke, so my Ouya said the online store is offline and shut itself off, so I threw it at the wall, using the controller as a doorstop. I guess Santa hates me.
I mean, I can't say I'm surprised the Ouya store is offline. I guess let's try. When did the Ouya store shut down? Oh, it officially shut down June 25th, 2019. So you missed the boat a little bit. You were a little late. Just a tad. just a bit. But like even that right there, look, dude, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I didn't even mean to. I just Googled it. It pulls the results and data from the Wikipedia page and the Reddit post, which are the top 2 results, and then puts it in this little text right at the top. So you just read that and you don't need to go to the websites. Woof. Woof. That's how it works. That's how it works. Anyway, so yeah, that's how they're doing it. That's how they're doing it. Also, I figured I'd talk about this. News segment. There you go. You'd think sites like Reddit would be against using or taking their traffic away. The thing is, with it being Google is the source for most of their traffic. So yes, Google is using AI tools in a way that reduces traffic to those websites, but they still need Google more. You know, they need Google more than Google needs them, I think is the breakdown. So that's why they can get away with it. Yeah. Sorry, it just reminded me of this meme. Hold on. It was like, I'm in school right now. Help me. Yes. This meme. Do you remember this? This like I think this was an old Vine.
Yo, I'm in school right now. What's good, all my friends? Help! Help me! Yo, I'm in school.
Help me! Someone do something! Anyway, one of you guys shared this news with me. It's surprising. Do you remember me telling you about a little known project by the name of Star Citizen? Ring a bell? Ring a bell? Well, there's a project associated with it called Squadron 42. This is a single player narrative game that features some pretty phenomenal voice acting. I mean, they've got Henry Cavill in this, Mark Hamill. I mean, they got a lot of people. Oh, look who it is. Look who it is.
Farthest reaches of the universe. Forging connections that will last your entire life. Fighting to protect your home and loved ones. Or even learning what you're truly capable of.
It's the guy.
Those are just the perks.
They've almost raised $1 billion. Not quite. I think they're at like 940 million or something like that. They're almost there. They've almost reached $1 billion. When they do, you better believe we'll make a video on it. But they are working on this single player narrative game called Squadron 42. So they will have the single player, and they will have the Persistent Universe multiplayer, which is what you can play right now. What you're seeing on screen is a snippet that they shared last year, I believe, no, 2 years ago, I believe it was. Let me see, October of 2024. Okay, so like last year, a little over a year ago. But in this, they showed an hour of the single player game, just what it's like. And it basically takes a lot of the tools and things that they built for the Persistent Universe, and then they put it into a single player package. And their goal apparently is to ship this as a standalone experience. And the hope, of course, is that people will then play it, be like, ooh, that's awesome, I want to play with my friends. And then they go and spend time and money in the Persistent Universe, where they happen to sell like $400 ships and $1,000 ships and stuff, so they can make money off of you that way. But this seems to be a very, very ambitious single player FPS. It's been in development for ages, but with this whole thing that they revealed last year, they confirmed that their goal was to release in 2026. That was the intention. They announced that in 2024, I believe it was, and the hope and expectation was that they would be revealing it and showcasing more, but releasing in 2026. Now, after that, they had some people involved with the project saying, I don't know if we'll hit that date, but we're going to try, and stuff like that, which seems to be walking it back and setting the expectation maybe we're not going to hit that date. But nonetheless, it was debated whether they would actually hit that release date. However, there's an update. At the end of the year, founder and CEO Chris Roberts wrote a blog post called Letter from the Chairman. It's a long post where he goes through kind of the state of the game, what they're doing, and this is a pretty regular thing that they do. But you can see he posted about Squadron 42. What he said was, on the Squadron 42 front, our focus throughout 2025 was to build on the progress of 2024 and what we showed at last year's CitizenCon by bringing the game to content complete and closing out remaining core tasks in preparation for beta. All chapters are now fully playable from beginning to end, and we've been playing through the game ourselves regularly. Squadron 42 is a large game, over 40 hours in length, and it's becoming increasingly clear how special it will be once the remaining polish, optimization, and bug fixing is complete. A big part of what makes this possible is the technology we built at CIG over many years. The ability to move seamlessly from on foot into a vehicle, and you can fly, move around inside, down to a planet or across star systems, all without loading screens, creates a level of immersion that's very difficult to replicate. You want to know what's funny? In the wake of Starfield, shocker, take a shot, Luke said Starfield. In the wake of Starfield, people were, of course, complaining about the load screens being everywhere and about all sorts of stuff. But in the aftermath of it, it was, let me double check the exact release date. It was November of 2023. So Starfield launches in like early September, late August, early September. And then in November of that year, CIG posts this. And this is a demo of their Star engine. This is what's being used to power the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. And this is no joke, like one of the most impressive tech demos that I've ever seen for a game engine. It's absolutely outrageous, where they show going straight from planet surface into space, from there going to a space station, showing interiors, and then they go down and they swoop all the way down, physically based atmospheres with multiple light scattering. And you'll see they actually go and they go straight down onto the planet surface, and they do this over the course of like 25 minutes, just showcasing the seamless transitions. And this is something if you don't believe it, you can get the game yourself and fly around like this. It's actually insane. Not this fast, because this is obviously sped up for the sake of the demonstration, but in a ship, like you can actually go from planet surface all the way through without load screens. And you can see like straight down into the environment, no load screens, just showing how seamless it is. Doesn't run this smooth at this point, I'll tell you what. It's pretty janky when you try to play it, but they've got all this just working. Very, very impressive tech. And then you'll see that they swoop up into the atmosphere. They'll go to a different, they swoop down to another spot on the planet where the camera zooms straight down, and they're going to go into a cave. No load screens there. We don't need no stinking load screens. Boom, straight in. Oh yeah, straight in, just like that. And they show the interior, no load screens there. And this whole thing was just a big flex, and it really felt like a direct response, even though I don't think it was a direct response to Starfield, because at this same time was when people were finishing Starfield and people have been talking about the load screens disrupting the flow of gameplay and exploration and all this. And then they dropped this and just show this is how it's done. And people were really excited to see, oh, it is possible technically, if you have the technology for it. And that was back in 2023. Fast forward to today. There is expected to be what is colloquially being referred to as Starfield 2.0, and it's expected to launch next year. Starfield 2.0. It's expected to launch probably next year with DLC and a PS5 port as well. And that this is expected that that it's going to try and reduce load screens, or at least cover them up with like animations that play over top of the load screens instead of a static image while it loads. It's going to actually play like a little animated thing of the ship traveling through the clouds and stuff like that. So they're going to try to cover it up. But with this, they're going to have Squadron 42 releasing at the same, like potentially within months even, of Starfield 2.0, but with this tech. Like you could actually end up in a spot where again the comparison is drawn with CIG's tech and seamless transitions and space components versus Starfield's. Like it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out, because I think it's going to show people what's actually possible when you have some cutting edge tech for sure. But what else did he say? Continuing on. Equally important is the quality of the content itself, from writing and performance capture. Let's see, from writing and performance capture to characters, environments, ships, lighting, sound, cinematics, and design. The level of care across the entire game is something I'm incredibly proud of. Combined with deeply interactive systems, it creates an experience that pulls you into the world and keeps you there. And all of this builds up to a final statement, okay? Final statement, kind of going through all of this. For Squadron 42, our priority remains quality and polish as we move forward toward beta and release. We're confident in the direction that the game is headed and are fully focused on delivering. We know many of you are eager to play, and we're looking forward to putting it in your hands. We don't plan on a long, drawn-out marketing campaign, as we've already done our share of trailers and gameplay previews. When it's time, you and the rest of the gaming world will hear a lot more from us. Their goal is to still release it next year. It's on track for the 2026 release date, and they think they're actually going to hit it. So that seems to be the point. That seems to be the point. I think that it's realistically probably going to launch and be like an 8.5 would be my guess. Like, you know, it's a B, maybe like a B plus. If it's really well executed. They have some phenomenal voice acting talent, some phenomenal motion capture talent. I think that they're going to probably have a lot of production value pumped into this thing, and I don't think there's going to be another single player game quite like it. But knowing CIG, I'm guessing it's not going to run particularly great, and that's my expectation. I hope that they optimize it to hell and back and that it runs really well and is well put together. I will believe it when I see it, because as of today, they still have not made anything that runs well. But maybe this is the first step. Maybe they'll actually pull it off this time. But they say that they're going to release it next year. And if they actually can pull it off, it'll be surprising. It'll be the first Star Citizen related thing that's actually been launched. It will be, I think, 14 years after they started work on it. So, you know, if they nail it, it still probably is a while before a sequel, but we'll see. They seem to be committed to doing it, and it looks like they're actually going to do it. So there you go. There you go. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think this time next year we'll probably be talking about what we thought, our final, our final feelings towards Squadron 42. Like, it's kind of crazy, but we're actually probably going to be in that spot. It's wild. Tazmeister, 7 months. Thank you. Hey, Luke, 10 months ago, I sent a super chat stating that I'm going to be a dad. Today at 26, so at 1:26 in the morning, my daughter was born. New subscriber en route. Hell yeah, dude. Congratulations. That's fantastic. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I remember that first day when I had my first, and it's just very surreal, and like you're kind of walking on clouds and just floating. Like you're like, is this, what's happening? What's happening? So I'm sure you're in that same spot. I'm humbled you're here. That's crazy, but I appreciate you, and congratulations, dude. That's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Congratulations. I think I do remember that post specifically, because Taskmeister is a very unique name, so I think I actually do remember that very specific post 10 months ago. That's crazy. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. You can float. Yeah. Only once you have a kid, though. It's required. Yeah. I think Khalid is earlier in the stream, so I think he's commenting on something unrelated, but it is funny to think, congratulations on having a child. And then he says scary stuff. Sorry. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I can close that down. Okay, and then I figure we can, let's see, maybe wrap up with this, because this one was also shared with me by one of you guys. Here it is. So B posted this. I dare say this may be one of the better IGN videos I've seen. I think it could be good for the next stream, possibly. It's a video from IGN that says what Bethesda needs to learn from The Outer Worlds 2. And it's a picture of Starfield with "This is crap" written on it, which is interesting because the position of IGN has been for a while to not take a very aggressive stance towards like Starfield. And part of it, like, I don't know, some people might, and I've heard people say that it's because they want to keep Todd happy so that they keep access to like the Fallout show interviews and to Elder Scrolls 6 previews and coverage. I don't think that that's necessarily what it is. I think it's more likely that the lead editor, Ryan McCaffrey, I think he said that he thought Starfield was pretty good and he liked it. So I think he probably shoots down a lot of stories that are more negative, but seems like this one slipped through the cracks. This one slipped through the cracks. Let's see what they have to say, because B said that this is like one of the better IGN videos he's ever seen. So let's see.
In the grand tradition of playing the latest Obsidian game and thinking about how Bethesda would have done it worse or better, The Outer Worlds 2 has got me thinking a lot about its spacebound solo space sim sister from another studio, Starfield, which, as we all know, left a lot to be desired from various portions of the community.
We can't just tell them kindly to bugger off.
For some, it wasn't Bethesda enough. For others, it was too Bethesda. The mod scene is DOA, the first big DLC was rubbish. And while we're on the subject, where's the second one they teased about 500 years ago? Can DLC even begin to address the problems Starfield has, which are
Dude, I actually think that he's exactly right. Where Starfield managed to upset both sides of the player base. Like, half the player base was pissed that it wasn't Bethesda enough and that they like abandoned what they were good at, which was like one of my critiques, was that they're really good at world building and building environments that you can get lost in and just explore for hours and lose track of time. That's what Bethesda historically is really good at. And they replaced that with procedurally generated crap. And so it just felt soulless. And then the other side was like, no, the writing is just more ML writing and it's too Bethesda. It's too bland and too dry and it just doesn't work. So I think that's actually a very apt description.
Mentally, but it's really tedious. Former Bethesda.
Is that John British? No, it's John England. Different guy, but from the same place, yeah.
Game designer Bruce Nesmith recently admitted that Starfield isn't as good as the studio's other universes of Elder Scrolls and Fallout, lamenting the game's over-reliance on procedurally generated content and also, which I think got a lot of people's backs up, that space is inherently boring. The thing is, he's not wrong about that. We even call it space because that's all it is for trillions and trillions of miles. You might think it's a long way to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space. Listen, genuinely, that is the defining problem for...
Oh, I think we've seen some of this guy's, another one of his IGN videos. I think we saw another one. Do any of you guys remember which one it was? He's very familiar. We watched one of his other videos. I remember liking it as well.
Every game designer who has ever tackled space. How do you fill the unfillable? How do you make space exploration fun?
Eurogamer? Well, then why is it on IGN? Oh, are they owned by the same company now? Is that it? I don't understand. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, make sure to subscribe to Eurogamer on YouTube. Post it to IGN. What is happening? I don't understand. Okay. He's a double agent. It is frankly hilarious that the video that B says is the best IGN video he's seen in probably ever is literally a Eurogamer video. This video was created by Jim Trinka and was originally featured on Eurogamer. It's pretty funny. That's pretty freaking funny. That's hilarious. Okay, continuing on. Sorry.
How do you make space travel compelling? There is no correct approach, but the space adventure genre of video game, by and large, makes it work in the same way that its counterpart on television does, by reducing space travel itself to an inconvenience along the lines of intercity bus travel or...
Well, I think the key is to take with... this is true of all games. If you have any game, you take the interesting bits and make that the focus, and then you take the boring bits and smush them. You know, so like, is it in Red Dead 2, you can go hunting and you have to skin the animals you get, right? They could have done a mini game where like you're using the touchpad on the DualSense controller on the PS4 and you're like carving out along the sinews and actually cutting the meat off the bone and stuff. They could have done that, but it probably wouldn't have been that fun, because guess what? It's not actually that fun to skin and gut a deer. It's just not. Maybe for some people, but not for most, I would argue. So instead, they compress that. They compress it down and they expand the more enjoyable parts of it, you know? I think that's the key. And so with spacefaring and exploration and stuff, you just take the parts that are fun and make that the focus. And then you take the parts that would be boring and try to hand wave it away or excuse it and get rid of it. Just like, I mean, you can see in his background, this, you know, he's a real nerd. He's got the Enterprise and like he's got the actual Star Trek ships and stuff. So, you know, he's an OG. But I think that that's the key, is that, you know, in Star Trek, it's never, oh no, they need our help 50 light years away. Everyone get in your cryostasis chambers. We're going to be on our way for 50 years in cryo sleep, and we'll wake up and we'll arrive, and hopefully nobody's died of old age by the time we get there. Like, even though that's more realistic, it's not that fun. You know, so you come up with, it's a warp drive, whatever. Don't think about it too much. You can get there quickly. You know, like that's the key. That's the key. You can tell he's a real nerd because he doesn't know how to maintain facial hair. I think his beard is better maintained than mine. I'm gonna be real. Mine's all kinds of shaggy and pubescent, you know?
Pressing some buttons, and by filling every planet with more or less the same stuff, whether we're talking about procedurally generated video game content or on-location shooting in the woods near Vancouver. Space games have to make fundamental choices at the design stage about how much space stuff they actually want to do. No Man's Sky, for instance, goes all in on procedural generation, for better or worse, boasting a potential 18 quintillion planets getting spat out of its algorithmic guts. So that's some realistically vast space with realistically wide distances between realistically huge planets. But those planets don't orbit their suns. They don't have seasons. It doesn't have any realistic systems that govern the position of its celestial bodies or the flow of trade across its various civilizations. No Man's Sky is not a space sim. It's a crafting and inventory management game with immaculate sci-fi vibes, full of infinite resources to seek out and gather to your own ends. Not a space sim as such, but a stuff sim. Interplanetary travel in No Man's
Good description. That's a good description of it. I think again, it's Starfield put itself into a very particular position, and they set themselves up for failure in what they were trying to do. Like if you are going to build a game that's built on procedural generation, but then you try and sell it as an adventure game, it probably doesn't work quite as well, because adventuring typically would suggest that there's things worth finding while you adventure. Like there's a reason you're adventuring, because you'll find cool stuff or discover cool sights and scenes and people and stories that could be dynamic or you know, that just sort of come dynamically out of the environment organically. But instead what we got was just repeated content on boring rocks. And if Starfield was designed much more like a No Man's Sky, where it's more about inventory, crafting, base building, if base building was a way bigger focus within Starfield, it probably would not feel as bad. But instead, like, they tried to build Skyrim in space with procedural generation, and it just doesn't really work.
And Sky is less a simulation and more an elaborate loading screen, achieved with a lot of trickery that's pretty obvious once you notice it. Not a diss, not a complaint. Trickery is how video games achieve basically anything complicated. It's an entire art form that relies on the same basic misdirection as pretending to steal a toddler's nose. Oh, I've got your nose, wee man. Think that's a spaceship you're flying, do you silly Ever since the seminal Elite on 8-bit computers about 4,000
I'm sorry, I love this guy. He's so funny.
years ago, the broad type of game that No Man's Sky has always been a yardstick of video gaming's highest ambitions and hardest limitations. In the early days, the most desired and least achievable feature of the genre was the ability to get off the damn ship. Paradoxically, this is what I always wanted to do in a space sim when I was a kid. Just get out and walk around. 1993's Frontier Elite 2 from David Braben, which is still a ludicrously impressive piece of galactic simulation, allowed you to live another life in a speculative sci-fi future as a jobbing sort of contractor, explorer, mercenary, bounty hunter, pirate, drug smuggler, petty criminal, chartered passenger shuttle, whatever you want, in a vast, hyper-detailed simulation of the Milky Way galaxy where you could actually land on planets, which was mind-blowing at the time. And it wasn't achieved with a convenient cutscene or a fade to white as you hit cloud cover like in that Star Wars Outlaws game, which I actually like a lot, but that's by the by. But in Frontier Elite 2, you could fly into a planet's atmosphere, jet around like an airplane, land, take off again, and speed off toward another entire planet that's millions of miles away completely seamlessly, never once breaking out of that simulation. This still remains a vanishingly rare feature in the space genre over 30 years later, but what you can't do in Frontier Elite 2 is park up and go to Space McDonald's like you can in Starfield, which is, I think, where Starfield actually shines, by leveraging that Bethesda magic, that unique sense of inhabiting a lived-in world where people drink tea and chat about the weather. Starfield brings a human factor to the space sim that's usually jarringly absent from the game. It says a lot that the worst bits of Starfield, the bits everyone hates, are the vast stretches of real estate populated by procedural generation, or in other words, the parts where the human factor is least involved. Convincingly sending a player to space in a video game is about as difficult as actually flying someone up there. Well, it's not really, but go with me on this, right? In both cases, there's copious amounts of energy and weird maths involved, and the nagging question of whether it's even worth the trouble. Games like the Mass Effect trilogy and the Outer Worlds saga feature no direct spaceflight at all, but fling players into intriguing worlds of combat, politics, archaeology, and espionage in much the same way as their fantasy counterparts do, but with blinking control panels and alien landscapes as a backdrop instead of, I don't know, castles and rivers full of discarded excrement. And they're all the better.
Well, and I think in large part it's because they did that basic math where they broke it down and they were like, what is the fun part? It's like running around exploring, talking to people. That's what we are good at. Let's do that. That's the focus. Instead of sitting on a ship flying through empty space trying to get to your location. Like, there's some ways where that can be, you can find ways to make that more entertaining with like dogfights and stuff where like, oh, we got jumped and we have to fight our way out of it, stuff like that. But there's a reason why in all sorts of games and movies and TV shows and everything in space, they just go into a warp drive and then warp there. You know, whether it's light speed in Star Wars or warping in any other fantasy story, that's how they do it, because that just, it's not that interesting to just sit and fly through empty space. It's the same thing like, there's a game I just tried the other day, and certain genres can do this if you know what you're getting into. There's a game I tried the other day. I wonder if any of you guys have tried it yourselves. It's called Stormworks. Let's see. It's a game. This is from 454 SS Gaming and Builds. It's a game where like you can build your own ships and stuff at the dock, and like you can build your own vehicles and then program logic for it. You can build oil rigs. You can build, like, look at this thing. You can build like deep sea exploration vehicles and stuff. It's like actually kind of insane. And it's freaking gigantic and massive as a game, but because it's also like realistically spaced, you'll get a call to like go rescue a boat that's trapped in the middle of the ocean, and it will take you 15 minutes to get there. Like, you have to know where they are by looking at your map. You have to set your heading and then go out and get there. And it takes a long time because it's realistically spaced and everything. But that's what the game is trying to do. And if you don't like that, you can play the creative mode which he has here. And you can kind of do your own thing. But if you play the normal mode, the career mode or whatever, it's realistically spaced. And so like, hey, somebody needs your help. They're trapped on a sinking ship out in the ocean. It's going to take you a while to get there, but that's the point, you know? And it's because it's doing sim stuff. So you go into it knowing what you're getting into. And that's true of like space games too. If you're playing a space sim, like more of a Star Citizen, you know, Persistent Universe, that can work and you can have a good time doing that. Same with like, yeah, Microsoft Flight Sim is another good example, Critical. If you're playing Microsoft Flight Sim, it's genuinely really cool that you can fly realistically from Miami to New York, using actual like satellite data to generate the maps and stuff. That's cool. That's cool. You know what you're getting into. But I think the key is that they're trying to be Sims. They're not trying to be narrative RPGs or like adventure RPGs, you know?
For it, because instead of trying to answer questions like how do we convincingly portray astronomical distances while the player is sat in the cockpit, they're answering more pertinent questions like, can I pump the blue NB Science Princess? With yes, you can pump the blue NB Science Princess. I'm not saying that space flight, space exploration, landing on random planets and sniffing around, I'm not saying those things shouldn't ever be attempted. I guess I'm saying that a Starfield sequel, if one ever happens, should be more stringent about its priorities. Push the Todd Howard sliders up and pull the David Braben sliders back down. And I'm not being facetious here. Every studio that's tackled the space sim has started with the same basic ingredients and fiddled about with the sliders to get to their particular vision. That is always compromised in some way because you can't just do everything in a video game. It's like a video game in and of itself. You've got a finite amount of time and resources, and so you've got to decide where best to deploy them. And the choices you make early on in that process limit what you can do later on. What questions do you ask when you start making a space sim? Are we going to focus on combat or exploration? If we focus on exploration, are we talking about a wilderness of spacebound curiosities, or are we making planetfall? If we're landing on planets, what's the ratio of lonely sunsets on barren rocks versus bustling cities and interstellar civilization? Can we land anywhere on a planet or only in hand-designed, predetermined areas? Does this have multiplayer? What do we do about Earth? Do we just not have Earth? Do we contrive some in-universe reason why we can't go there? Do we try and actually depict Earth somehow with all of its buildings and people and different types of tree and individual portions of marmalade and complimentary hotel breakfasts? You've got to pick a lane. That's why No Man's Sky is a crafting and inventory management game with a sci-fi backdrop rather than an actual space sim with Newtonian flight physics and orbital modeling. That's why Elite Dangerous is interstellar truck simulator with a bit of dogfighting. That's why The Outer Worlds has nothing whatsoever to do with flying spaceships outside of cutscenes, and therefore isn't really a space sim at all. But it feels like with Starfield, Bethesda didn't really pick a lane. They kind of tried to do everything. And for my money, it's a noble effort. If you stick to the authored stuff, the main story and faction quests, the side content that isn't obviously being spat out of an objective generator, is pretty good. It often feels like Skyrim in space, which is what we all wanted, right? And it has that level of micro detail that...
Yeah, this quest line that he's showing on screen right now, Juno's Gambit, is one of the more interesting quests in the game. It actually has some unique stuff to it. But, and this is what I've said, it's kind of surprised people because I talk about Starfield so much that people are just like, they assume that I think it's the worst thing ever. No, what I've said, and I said this in my review, you can go back and listen to it. I think it's just meh. Like, I think it's just bleh. It's just kind of mediocre. And part of it is because it's got good aspects, but then also has some bad aspects, and it levels out to bleh. But I think what he said was accurate, that they needed to pull down the procedural generation sliders. They need to up the sliders from Todd and what he's good at. And that's how you rebalance it. I think Starfield, funnily enough, missed the saying that Todd has often expressed in all those dev interviews. And when you listen to dev interviews talking about people who worked with Todd, they reference what he said many times, which is, we can do anything, we just can't do everything. So we have to pick our battles and then do that. And I feel like they totally forgot that methodology and that phrase, the saying, with Starfield. They tried to do kind of everything, and it just didn't do anything particularly well, except the shipbuilding. I insist to this day, the shipbuilding is genuinely really, really cool. I do really like the shipbuilding. Base building was kind of an afterthought, but the shipbuilding was really cool.
Makes Bethesda games so compelling. The mundane stuff that just makes the world come together. You can fling a sandwich down a hallway or steal a parsnip, eat at Denny's, wear a hat, whatever you want. Not to mention the shipbuilder, which is just an incredible standout feature that everyone loves for good reason. But Starfield also fancies itself a bit of Elite's gig economy and dogfighting, neither of which it does particularly well. It has a smattering of the No Man's Sky stuff, procedurally generated planet surfaces, land anywhere, gather resources with a mining laser, build bases, marvel at the local flora and fauna, but why? The game rarely gives you a reason to actually engage with any of those systems. They're just kind of there. Every time you land on a planet, the game generates this massive square map with about 5 points of disinterest, or more or less the same 5 points of interest that you get wherever.
Sorry, that's good. That's freaking funny. Instead of points of interest, points of disinterest. I like it. I knew I liked this guy.
Where else you land on any other planet in the game. And the distance between those points of interest is comically large, to the point where the most requested quality of life update to the game turned out to be a Mako, a space car, a thing that everyone hated in Mass Effect but became blessed relief here because it cut out so much of Starfield's tedium. And
yeah, I remember like testing it because I felt like I was going crazy running between objectives. But it was literally like on average 3 to 4 minutes of running. In some cases it was more, because like there'd be an objective when you land in the dead center. So you land here, and then there's an objective, a point of interest over here and over here and over here and over here and over here. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to go explore and I'm going to find. I just pick one. So I run over here. It takes about 4 minutes to get there. Boom. It ends up being nothing. It's like a couple crates and nothing of interest. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go run over here and check out this one. That one's about 4 minutes of running and I arrive. Oh, there's a few NPCs and it's a building. I clear it out, take the loot. That takes a few minutes. Now run to the next one. Okay, I'm going to go over here and then I clear this one. This took 3 minutes of running. Oh, it's also nothing. Okay, run over here, run over here. Oh, it's also nothing. Oh, run over here, and oh, little bitty quest line. I go in there, I clear out some bad guys, and I get some loot. Okay, and then warp back to the ship, or run back to the ship, but head back to the ship and then repeat the process. But in all this time, like this is 4 minutes of running, this is 4 minutes of running, this is 3 minutes of running, this is 2 minutes of running, this was another 4 minutes of running. Like it just bloats the game, and there's nothing interesting. It has no Fallout radio station. It was just insane. So they did patch the game and add in the rover, the REV8 or Rev8, which does work well. It lets you travel faster through the big procedural maps and stuff. But it's just not the same. No encounters. The way that the encounters work in Starfield is like there might be like some roaming animals over here, but if you're trying to get to this spot, you're probably just going to run around them. You know, so you're like running and you'll just run around them or jump over them with your jetpack. You know, it's just like, it's not the same. Not the same.
And Starfield knows that it's boring. That's why the bulk of its traversal is actually just the fast travel system. For all the time it's been spent on letting you fly the ship, you rarely actually have to do it, which flies in the face of Todd Howard's grand vision of a NASA-inspired space sim that we'd all find compelling because of the tactile equipment and the wonder of staring at edge-lit planets from orbit and thinking about Carl Sagan's pale blue dot monologue because, as ever, he's trying to relive his mid-20th century American youth via the power of Gamebryo. Can you imagine how baffled Carl Sagan would have been by Starfield?
I don't know why this video game is so embarrassed to actually let me play it.
The point is this, there's so much in Starfield that's completely worthless, from its core ideas to its vast empty spaces. There are premium add-ons that add everything from dungeons and crash sites to full-on faction quests, companions and DLC-sized expansions. There could be a lot more, but the modding community abandoned Starfield in droves after the base game turned out to be such a damp squib. And it pains me because I still think Bethesda doing a space game is exactly what I want from this entire hobby, despite this hobbled first attempt. At the risk of sounding like Edge Magazine in the 90s, I want to get out of the ship and talk to people. I want to go to the shop and buy a snazzy outfit. I want to read people's emails and steal their stuff. I want to break into cabins and rifle through suitcases on an enormous interstellar cruise ship full of rich arseholes. That mission was really cool, by the way. Now, I know that the Outer Worlds games and Starfield actually have very little in common beyond some superficial similarities. They are, and should be, utterly distinct. But there's one thing I want Starfield 2 to take from Outer Worlds, and it's this. Confine the whole thing to one solar system, or a handful of solar systems. Cut all that empty space down to a few planets worth. Solar systems are diverse places. The one we live in is everything from subterranean oceans of ice moons to the peaks of Martian mountains, storms of liquid methane, cascading sheets of molten metal, shops called Boots that sell deodorant, sandwiches, chewing gum, umbrellas, but not actual boots. You don't need 1,000 planets to compel me to explore. You need something worth exploring. That's why Hello Games is obviously betting that the No Man's Sky concept works just as well on a single planet as it does on a quintillion. And you might think that the idea...
Yeah, well, and it's... this is, you know, far from a novel take, but it's true that a lot of people, when Starfield came out, said it just needs, like, give me 3 planets. Procedurally generate them, but then go back through and add handcrafted places and points of interest, do stuff like that, you know? I think people would have been just as thrilled by that. Like, I just think it was, as with a lot of Todd stuff, I think that it started with the idea of 1,000 planets. He loved the idea of the big number next to it, 1,000 planets for you to explore. And he imagined himself standing on stage at E3 explaining that there's over 1,000 planets you can explore. And that is cool. Doesn't mean that it'll be fun, you know? It just doesn't translate that way. But I think if it were, like he said, a single solar system or even just a few planets, because you could do like our solar system, but obviously you're not going to go on Jupiter or something. If there's a space station or something circling it. But they could have still used the procedurally generated tools to make the biggest maps ever made for a Bethesda game and then put like a hand-placed treatment to it. I think that would have worked way better. But as the story of Starfield goes, I think it was just that they were overly ambitious, tried to do way too much, and then didn't end up doing much of anything particularly well.
The idea of a Starfield sequel being 1,000 times smaller than the original is a ludicrous proposition, because video game sequels have to be bigger and better every time, right? But Bethesda themselves have learnt this lesson before. The Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall boasted a procedurally generated world twice the size of the island of Great Britain, but there was nothing there more compelling than Swindon on a Tuesday afternoon. The game was enormous and therefore boring. And you could sit there and go, well, life in a quasi-medieval fantasy world probably would have been kind of a slog, horses aren't very fast, everyone's got diphtheria. Or you could go back to the drawing board and make Morrowind, a sequel to Daggerfall that was a decimal point of a percentage of the size, but 1 billion times more interesting. Because rather than being filled in with a computer program making Lego towns, everything in Morrowind was hand-placed and handcrafted. Whether it's procedural generation, machine learning, large language models, replacing voice actors with speak and spell text-to-speech nonsense or whatever, computers can fill endless blank spaces with increasingly less prompting now than they used to need. But as we know from decades of video game history, none of it is worth a f*** without the human factor. If you take that away, you've got nothing. And given that Starfield's biggest triumph is that it brings humanity to the fore in a genre that often sidelines it, it not only makes sense, but it's imperative on Starfield 2 to narrow its scope and double down on the human factor. If they actually make a sequel, I suppose we'll find out by 2070. Jim, why have you made a video about Starfield in 2025? I don't know, something to do, right? It's not as if Valve just announced a console.
I knew I liked that guy. Very entertaining. And again, crazy is it's crazy that this isn't a Eurogamer video, but it's like the best IGN video I've seen in a minute. So I think pretty much everything you said I agree with. It's a case of it being, you know, too ambitious for its own good. I think the bit that he didn't really put too much into was that they do sell fixes for a lot of this stuff, or at least improvements, maybe not fixes, but things that improve it, in the sense of like new habs for base building and for shipbuilding, and new quest lines, new faction quests, new points of interest for you to find when you land on a planet. They do have all of that stuff for sale through the creations menu, where you can pay $2, $3, $4 to get a better version of Starfield. And that's my frustration with all of this, is that they have created a platform and a sort of company or game platform that is incentivized to have mediocre elements, because you can get people who like the idea of the game to spend money to get closer to the ideal version of it. You know, so if Starfield were a masterpiece, then the creations would all seem like kind of lesser versions of what it was. Maybe some people would buy it and it would hold them over for a little bit until Bethesda can circle back in 20 years and do a sequel. But instead, they just created a platform where like they don't have to ever really fix anything, because the modders will fix it and they can make money on it. Going back to like 2014, I remember discussions around Fallout 4 being that it's going to launch buggy and broken because Bethesda always has modders fix their game for them, which was a meme back then. Now modders will fix it and Bethesda will make money off of those fixes, you know? So it's like just a double whammy. It's a double whammy. Anyway, we'll see how they do it. I mean, the 2.0 update to Starfield should be coming at some point in the next probably 3 months would be my guess. I'm guessing probably February. They might shadow drop it or something. They might drop it in January because they're doing the Xbox partners dev partner, whatever showcase. So in January, we may see it because it's expected in roughly mid-January, maybe like the 10th, 12th, something like that. Xbox will do a showcase where they'll show things like Fable, they'll show probably Gears of War, they'll show the Halo Anniversary, whatever thing, and probably Starfield 2.0. And I think that that's probably where we see it. And they might even shadow drop it at the same time because it should be ready, allegedly, but we'll see. I didn't waste money on Shattered Space. Good. Well, it looks like what they're going to do is they're going to release a complete edition that has everything. So it'll have, you know, both expansions and probably some built-in paid mods that break everything else. So there you go. Bethesda will break the mods when they release the next gen update. Well, if there were mods that people were using. The thing is, most big modders abandoned Starfield after it launched because nobody cared. So, you know, is Red Dead 3 in development? No. It is all hands on deck for GTA 6. As for what's next, the speculation and leaks and rumors suggest that Rockstar could be doing a medieval game next. So there was an environment artist working at Rockstar who had on his LinkedIn profile before he deleted it that he was working on medieval architecture, which the only game that we knew they were working on at that point was GTA 6. Why would they need to do medieval architecture for GTA 6? So a lot of people thought maybe they're working on like a medieval fantasy, whatever game. Who knows? He very quickly deleted all of that right after it started leaking, but you never know. I think it'd be freaking cool if they did like something totally different. Maybe a Renaissance fair. That's possible. Some people thought maybe it's like, you know, medieval times, that restaurant. Maybe they do something like that. I don't know. But it was enough work that he put it on his resume. So who knows? But we'll see. Don't you know Florida's full of ancient castles? Yeah, exactly. Tomas, thank you for that super chat. Judas, man, where is Judas? I can't wait anymore. Dude, I don't know. It's been like a year plus since they did that marketing thing. Judas. When did they go on that? He went on the FPS podcast March of 2024. So it's been almost 2 years since he went on to market it. And they played 5 hours of it 2 years ago. What are they doing? You know, like, where is this game? This was 2 years ago. March 26th, 2024. I don't understand. You know, I don't understand. Where is it? I don't know. I don't get it. Let him cook. Well, Ken Levine, let's just say this is not a new phenomenon for Ken Levine. He's known for being a bit of a perfectionist, for taking a long time to get stuff done, because he's a perfectionist and he constantly wants to tweak and change stuff. So I understand it's ambitious. I want to see it. I can't wait to see it. I want to see it. I want to know where it is, you know? But should be this year. I know people said that about this year, probably including me back in 2024. I was like, surely they did a preview back in March of 24. So surely it's got to come out in 2025. I'm sure I said that because I would be shocked, and I still am shocked, that they would do a preview giving 5 hours of content to creators and then disappear for 2 years. That's crazy. That's wild. But there you go. If it were up to Levine, we would be getting BioShock Infinite just about now. Yeah, probably. Probably. Just a quick, tight 20-year development cycle. That's all it needs. That's crazy. Guitar Guy, think of it, 17 months. Great stream as always, Luke. And if you didn't hear, Todd confirmed Elder Scrolls 6 will have more trees than Skyrim. So we're so back, boys. Yeah, I did see that. That was funny. People are like, so they have clearly started tracking data such as the placement of trees, which means the game is this far into development. I was like, bro, chill out. You know, chill out. I think it was just a meme for a YouTube video. I would not read that much into it, you know. I would not read that much into it. Ken probably realized generative AI and LLMs could give him infinite narrative Lego. That's honestly my fear, is that he had this whole concept for narrative Lego pieces, building dynamic stories that organically kind of evolve out of your choices within the game. And that really sounds like something AI tools would be perfect for. So yeah, I've been worried about that too, that he's going to come and re-reveal it and it's going to be like, yeah, it's been totally overhauled with generative AI writing. And I'm like, oh my God, no. So I've thought about that. I hope that's not what it is. But time will tell. Time will tell. Who knows? Who knows? I don't have any special knowledge. I'm just saying I've considered maybe that's why it was delayed by 2 years, because it was delayed pretty much right at the moment that AI started going crazy. You know, 2024. It's like precisely when the world started losing their minds over it. Like prior to that, it was out there. You know, OpenAI was making headlines and people knew about it, but it started to really explode around that time period. So yeah. Oh my God. I don't want to watch it, but I saw that. You remember we made that video about the obviously like hilariously fake Elder Scrolls 6 leaks? Like they were hilariously fake. There's apparently some creators who did not get the memo that it was like pretty hilariously obviously fake. Leaked Elder Scrolls 6. Oh man. Like, bro, Todd said it's not coming next year. And people are like, yeah, but maybe he's just saying that because he wants you to think it's not, and then it does. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Okay. Oh man. Anyway. Can't say I'm surprised. There's always some stuff like that. Dude, and this is funny. The other video that you guys sent me, we won't watch it today. We'll watch it tomorrow or whatever. Because I want to do tomorrow. I want to do a full like Game of the Year roundup and give our Concord Award, and I want to do all of that. Because there's like, I want to do that. I want to do a full revamp, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. But one of the other videos you guys sent me was Red Dead 2 comparison videos are lying to you. And look who it is. Jim once more. Dude, they should just give him a raise. We need more of this guy than the other hosts. Lots of nuanced takes. Yeah, literally. I mean, it's like, yeah, like overwhelmingly positive feedback. IGN needs more videos like this. We need this guy more. Know what? For an IGN video, this was pretty relatable and interesting. Wow, won't lie. I legit forgot this was IGN. Nice change of video. Fs. Keep it up. Thank you. I really dislike those comparison videos where they need to tear down one game in order to praise another. Like, give this guy a raise. Let him do more. Like, for real. When was the last time you saw an IGN video with that positive of feedback? You know, like they should look at that and connect the dots. This guy, we should give more. It's still funny to me that he's from Eurogamer and so he's not technically IGN, but still. When it's the Concord Awards, I'm either going to do it tomorrow or we'll do it Wednesday. We probably were going to do a wrap-up podcast with Jor on Wednesday, so I'm not sure if we'll have time to do the full awards on Wednesday. So maybe what we'll do is I'll stream tomorrow and we can go through like a full overhaul revamp of like my Game of the Year, what you guys voted for Game of the Year, the Concord Award. And then I also want to make predictions for what is going to be the most disappointing game of 2026 and what game is going to be the most surprising hit of 2026. You know, because if you go back to 2024, nobody was saying that Expedition 33 was going to be like the front runner for Game of the Year and for all these other awards. Everybody was saying that the front runner was going to be probably Monster Hunter Wilds or GTA 6. Everybody thought that was like the front runner, and Monster Hunter totally forgotten and cast aside. GTA 6 delayed. Like it totally shifted and changed. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. It's been a wonderful, joyous time. I'm so glad to be back. I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of all of you. It's been wonderful. I'll be back, like I said, I think tomorrow, and we will we'll have lots to discuss and tackle. So just you wait. It's only going to get better and better. And yeah, 2026 is going to be crazy, dudes. It's going to be crazy. I've already heard rumblings of some of the stuff that's going down. Boy, blow your mind. I can't wait till I'm able to talk about some of this stuff. It's like absolutely crazy. But anyway, much love, everybody. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll also be here, I think, on Wednesday as well. But I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll rock and roll, give out our awards and everything, and it'll be awesome. Okay, much love. Oh wait, I just saw Crown send a super chat. So if you go to the Judas official website, they've been starting to post developer logs with the latest updated post of January 2nd, 2025. Oh, maybe we do like a segment on Judas and we go through those. That's good. Thank you for letting me know. I should go through those. That sounds interesting. Okay, thanks guys. Much love. Thank you everybody over on Twitch and on YouTube. You guys are fantastic. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.